Thank you for coming, everybody. This is just a conversation. I haven't planned anything. I haven't, there's no way, that one can plan anything. All there is this. This immediacy, this what is, and there's nothing really that can be discussed about it in a funny way. One can't really talk about what this is. One can kind of talk around it, so that's probably what we'll do, is just express things that want to be expressed, and talk together about something that can't be described. So it's that very intimate quality that is already everything, which is kind of a crazy thing to try to talk about, but that's what we're here. Why we're here. So if there's any questions that you have, I know that you're all veterans of, so it's not really, there might not be so many questions that arise, but if there are, please, would like to hear or anything that you have to express, and we can just talk together.
How is that, as you sitting there rather than here?
Yeah, it's just the other side of the room. It's funny, it's just the other side of the room. Mm. It's a bit strange. Mm. But yeah. Yeah, I've been at so many meetings, for so many years, that it's just being the opposite side of the room is just a bit strange. Yeah.
It feels like it's just like a really lovely space.
Yeah.
For us all, we've come together for a common purpose, if you like, or with a common interest, or and it's just your turn to be sitting there.
Yes.
Rather,
Yeah.
So
it could be in anything or in a body, and the chair could be empty, of course, and it would be the same thing. Yeah. Everything means everything, and everything means nothing. So that's the thing. It being the other side of the room doesn't make a damn bit of difference.
How can you get a table in it?
Yeah, that's what I thought. Straight away, this is the perk.
Nobody's filming me.
I mean, we could turn it around. Yeah.
But you have a memory of sitting here?
Yes. Yes. I mean, it's the same. It's exactly the same. I guess the only thing is it's kind of that's since that last time when I was on that side, there was something contracted, and then that sort of burnt out, and then it's just this side, and that's it. That's the only difference. So it's just something just kind of fell away that was just needed to fall away. So that, I mean, my sense of it is or a very good word that I like about it is burnout. I really like that. Because it's just something that burns out. It's not, you can't burn something out, it just burns out. And in fact, the more that one tries to sort of get something to burn out, the more you're putting fuel onto that fire in a way. So it's like constantly, and then just something just burning out. Well, what is there to say about that? It just burns out. Nobody did that. It just runs like, it's like one of those clockwork things that you wind it up and then it goes and then that's it. And then you just talk.
And you have the special chair.
When you get a special chair, which is
Yeah, burnout I can resonate with, that's good.
Yeah.
Diminishing somehow, a lessening, something.
Yeah.
But it's not a relaxation as such. It's not like
it feels like relaxation.
You can't try to relax.
No, that's
that's
exactly
the difference, isn't it? That when you get people think about contraction, does that mean that I can try to relax it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Burnout, you can't try to.
Exactly. That's it. That's it. Because you got, like when you're doing like a job for a really long time and you can't stand it anymore, and you think, oh fuck it, I just can't do this anymore. Something falls, you break. Of course, then what happens is that you then try and do another job, which is slightly different from the old one. But of course, it's the same thing, happening again. But with this is just like the end. There isn't any energy to actually do anything more. So it's the energy is sort of comes out.
So it's not like a glimpse where somehow there is a little bit of energy still, isn't there? Somehow, because then
when
you start off on it again, don't you?
I think in a way, like the glimpse is just something. The flames go.
But somehow it's reignited.
And then and that happens, and you see like a fire. It's like, oh, I thought it was out, and then it goes, and it comes back again. It's like that. I mean, it's not a controlled thing or something that is accessible, that you can go like that you do something with. It's not like that. It's just how energy is.
In the name of this immediacy.
Yeah. Because all there is this immediacy. There's just this immediacy. There isn't anything else. There isn't this and then this. There's just this. There isn't a sequence. It's just it's just this is immediacy. There isn't anywhere that was before. There's no place that's after. There's no time, and therefore there's no there's no place to get to.
And there's nowhere you come from.
No. not in what one might call natural reality. You know, that contraction, or that me, just when it's in that when there's that contraction, there's just sequences of events or things. You know, I mean, of course there's memory. You know, you have a memory of something, but it's not something that is happening and that is the past. I know that is the past. Well, that's just ridiculous. It's completely ridiculous. There cannot be a possibility of past.
So the memory's in the immediacy.
Yeah.
The immediacy.
Yeah. Yeah. There's and I mean for this me, when this me was very active and tense, it was all about the past. You know, was very depressed in that contraction. So, and that was all about the past, going round and round and round. You know, so yeah, that's the relief in a way, that's when that sort of just burns out, there's just a relief, a sort of that, and it feels relaxing, because you don't have to, nothing is based in those past events that's just purely a story.
You don't have to resolve any.
Don't have to resolve anything. It's impossible to resolve
process
anything.
guilt or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And the burnout can be across all contexts. Like I'm finding burnout of seeking, and burnout of relationships, and burnout of other things. Anything that was based on past, if you like, seems to be burning out.
Yeah.
Seeking, of course, would be past, and friendships or whatever.
Yes.
They can be based on need past.
Yes.
Need,
yes.
like that.
And anything that's part of that contraction, you know, that contraction, you know, wants to hold on to everything.
Mm-hmm.
So anything that wanted to be held on to, of course, is going to break down inevitably.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's why, in a way, that relationship in those terms, or love in that term, romantic love, is doomed.
Of course.
I mean, it's
Get on the bachelor straight away.
I love your use of the word burnout, because I have a friend who stayed here in the past.
Yeah.
Who wrote about burnout.
Right, yeah.
She's I think she's very well known, actually.
Yeah.
She runs retreats on that,
Okay,
and she's written books on burnout.
Yeah.
So there's something very ironic about you sitting there talking about burnout, contrasted with the way she talks about burnout, about there being a purpose.
A lot of people think that. I mean, a lot of people sort of recognise burnout in this day and age.
Yeah.
I think burnout is, a phrase that a lot of people are using now. And I think that there's this idea that burnout can sometimes be a breakthrough, because there's this recognition that something burns out, and then you've finally understood something, and now you can go on to the next phase of your life.
Yeah.
You're turning a chapter. So then burnout just becomes another place where you're now going to find what you're looking for. So you go off and seek another thing, which is much better than it was before, usually, because there's much less tension involved. Usually the first sort of sequence of burnout is kind of like somebody doing something for 30 years, which they had, because they were
Burnt out.
because they were taught something when they were very young, or kind of that me contraction when they were very young gets sort of ended. It just can't carry on anymore. There's not enough energy. Mm. But eventually that same energy that tries to do something else and something else and something else and something else, which is our seeking process. We, have all probably been through. That also just it finally ends, and you just the circuits blow. What are you going to do about that? The circuits just blow up. It's been going round and round and round for such a long time. The circuit's blowing. What are you going to do? Get another circuit. Good luck with that. It's Yeah.
And also, I heard the word burnout differently to other contexts.
Right. Yeah.
Your usage of the word burnout here was heard completely different.
No, I understand. Yeah.
But it's a collapse, isn't it?
It's collapse.
Yeah, that's
collapse.
Another
yes,
way
yeah.
to describe say
It's
that.
like
Yeah, exactly.
in the face of, just.
Yeah, and that's why it's so nice when people go to sleep in these sessions. I thought that would be a good idea in some sessions to have like mats at the back, so people could have a sleep if they wanted. It's very nice. Because it's actually just, that's what, in a way, it's very tiring. Being a me all the time is extremely tiring.
That's what Ollie used to do, sleep out.
Yeah. I totally understand.
That was the hangover the last time.
I totally get that.
And it's an invitation to relax here, isn't it? Basically?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
because there's nothing to that. Wow, there's nothing to do.
I think you said the me's tiring. It's been beyond that. It's been kind of exhausting sometimes. It's the hypervigilance. It's the constancy of the me that can be very, very exhausting. And one might not feel exhausted. And sometimes it's in hindsight where the realization has taken place of
And of course, it's not constant. It's not a constant as one thinks it is. I never had a glimpse. I never had a glimpse, and I was seeking for, one could say I was properly seeking for about 30 years, if you want to describe it in that, story of 30 years. From a very, very quite an early age, I was right on, UG Krishnamurti until about 2006, where I met Tony, and then I was looking at that for a very long time. And in that whole period of time, there wasn't a glimpse at all. There wasn't a glimpse. I wanted a glimpse. I went towards lots of different things that could potentially give me a glimpse, but there wasn't that. And then when that fell away, I recognised that actually there were glimpses. I just didn't know what they were. And there were these moments, where I think it was like childhood again, like that
absorption.
Yeah. It was like
What, the glimpses came out afterwards?
I recognised that there were those glimpses. I didn't know what they were until actually something fell away, and then I could recognise, that I remembered,
What
moments.
kept you going in the absence of glimpses then?
I mean,
the same thing.
No, but I mean, it was so difficult.
The women, Brendan.
It was just anything.
That's a leave alone, but
Anything is like desperation towards that. The end of that, absolute desperation. Yeah, just desperation, depression, desperation, deep depression, desperation, until that moment, and then the depression ended. So that was the thing that I read. That was the sense. It was just, it was that contraction.
When we met the other night, you talked a little bit about iboga.
Yeah.
I mean, can you tell us more about what part that played, if any, in this journey you've been on?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, psychotropic plants are interesting plants, and they have been around, I think, since the me came into that contraction started happening, you know. As soon as that started happening, those plants, I think, were being used because I think they have that effect of softening the me. That's my sense of it. As a lot of things do. It's not just those plants, you know. You can drink quite a lot of alcohol and it kind of softens the me, or you can. There's a lot of things that people have done in order to soften that tension that is felt in the body. And I think that plants like iboga, they can break that construction, that personality, that the me is sort of almost like a bottom rung, and then on top of that there can be a huge superstructure of personality and myself and what I think about myself and all of the past and everything that's associated with that. And I think that some of those strong plants can sometimes crack it. But then, of course, once that ends, that state ends, it comes back again in a different form.
Yeah.
So it will return, but in a different form.
And then you talk about the experience, how it relates to you, I suppose.
Exactly.
This is what happened to me.
That's right, exactly, yeah.
It was great.
Yeah, it was great.
Should we do it again?
This is how it changed my life. And now my life is completely different. And it is different. It's a different life. It's still mine. and that's the difficulty about it. It's still a kind of, it's still owned. I mean, this is the amazing thing is that we're wandering around thinking that we know lots of things. We're in that contract, the me knows everything. It knows absolutely everything. It thinks it knows everything, but actually the actual fact is that it doesn't know anything. There isn't anything that is known. It's impossible to know anything. There's senses. There are senses, but you can't describe to somebody what how your breakfast tasted, or what it felt like driving a car. You can describe that to somebody and they know what you mean and get a sense of it, but that feeling, that sense, impossible to pass that on.
That knowing of it.
That knowing, because when you're doing it, or when whatever's happening, you don't know. You don't know.
Was it like a recognition?
Yeah, knowing is ownership. When I know something, I own it.
It's me.
It's me. Yeah.
And someone else relates to it because they say, "Oh yeah, I know what you mean."
They relate to it.
But they're going to get a
How
sense
it's for
of it.
them, but just a sense for them. So
Yeah. But it's just ownership. It's just like, oh, I know that.
it's just all nonsense, though, isn't it?
It's all nonsense.
And
It's all muscle memory. All knowledge is muscle memory.
Taken into the brain and then made to.
It's just whatever it is. You can do a third job. I'm driving a car, and then you just know the body knows how to do it. And or you're doing mathematics, and then the body knows how to, or a thought process, or being a therapist, or whatever it is. And there's a pattern, and you become very good at that pattern because people are in it, doing it a long time. It's learned. Yeah, it's learned. It's repetitive. It's repetition. Repetition isn't knowledge.
No.
It's not kind of claimable. You can't go, oh yeah, I know this.
It limits it as well, doesn't it? When you say to something, oh that's yellow, you limit yellow. You turn it into a thing.
That's it.
And you no longer experience yellow, you're just experiencing your idea of yellow.
Exactly,
your
yeah.
memory of it.
That's right. Yeah. And yellow is just a.
There's no way of knowing what it is.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm fascinated by your description of a contraction, because I'm going to receive a phone call tomorrow. Gary asked me a question a few moments ago. He said, have you ridden your bike recently?
Yeah.
And I said, well, I've burnt out the engine.
Oh yeah.
And it's like £6,000-7,000 to repair. And when I got on my motorbike, because I only learned to ride it when I'd left work, ride a motorbike, I just feel very free.
Yeah.
And I visited a monastery in Ireland about 3 years ago, and this abbot came out of the monastery, turned out to be the abbot, and he was looking at my motorbike, and he said that my motorbike's a BMW, and he had a Harley Davidson. So this is a typical male sort of talk.
Does he wear his robes on it?
What?
Did he wear his robes on the Harley?
Sorry?
Did he wear his robes on the Harley?
His robes. Robes.
He was robed actually. Yeah.
On the Harley.
he said how many miles you do here, and I said, well, about 5,000. He said, oh, I do 10,000. And he said if there's a conference in Rome, he gets on his motorbike from Ireland. So I said to him, what is it about motorbiking that's different from driving a car? And he said, well, it's sacred and it's silent. And when I'm on the motorbike, I just, the contraction disappears. There's something about the contraction disappear. And now that I've got to think of paying maybe £6,000-7,000 to repair, I'm thinking, well, how do I have that non-contraction anymore? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I'm saying to you, is that? And what hearing you say is that actually I'm actually addicted to being on a motorbike and not a sense of contraction. Does that make sense to what you're saying?
I mean, addiction. It's a funny word in that context. I mean, you in a way you get on that motorbike and something lets go, or
exactly
the tension lets go.
Yeah.
So you like to do it.
Yeah.
You know. I mean, if you were on that motorbike and you were looking for that tension to go, you probably wouldn't find it.
No.
But it can sometimes happen that being on that motorbike, when you're driving around and you're focused, you're defocused, however you want to describe it.
Well, you have to be focused to be safe.
Yeah, but you have to be relaxed.
Yeah.
You know, so something just obviously in that situation, just something is less tense.
Then it gets more tense when he gets off it. So he's kind of longing to get back on the bike.
Yeah, so hearing David talk about contraction makes me understand why I'm exercising. Should I find that money from somewhere to get back on the bike?
It's the point being is that being on the bike is just being on the bike. It's not just the bike. It's everything. It's before you get on the bike. It's walking out the door. It's there isn't just being on the bike, and that's
it's a pain in the ass working out how to get on it. But once I'm on it, it's.
But people do that, don't they? They spend huge amounts of their life or huge amounts of money or whatever it is on things that they think are in a way going to give them a release. I mean, people get very, very focused in that. And then they get very frustrated with it when it doesn't work anymore.
Or you burn out
the engine. Yeah. Damn, I've lost my thing that can actually help, can actually resolve this tension. I've got to sort that out, But it's not, you're not going to find it. I mean, that doesn't work for very long. Works for a bit.
Yeah, my experience has been that it can be quite deceptive, meaning I might go out for a walk and go, wow, look at this nature and the wind, and feel like I'm at one with everything.
Yeah.
And then the me will hijack that and make it into a practice, perhaps a daily practice.
Yeah.
And then compare, it was better yesterday, it's not so good today. And then that is not the same as going through something that leads to, I don't know,
Yes.
easing, significant
Well, it
easing.
wants to hold on. When there's a relaxation, it wants to hold on to that.
Totally, totally.
So
And recreate.
yeah, I've got to sort that out. Yeah.
It turns it into God.
Yeah, exactly.
It turns the motorbike into God.
Yeah.
It does this for me.
Zen and the
There's a
art
relationship,
major
isn't
side
there?
of
And then
happens. Yeah.
And that's gone. It's
Yeah.
like, oh my God, I've lost God.
Yeah, that's it.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that, yeah.
Absolutely.
You need to get close.
It can be the seeking of a state.
Yes.
The me is often,
Yeah.
I've noticed, always seeking an optimization,
Yeah.
seeking an optimum state.
Yes.
So if motorbike is part of that, lovely. If
Yeah.
running is part of
Yes.
that, lovely. Yeah.
Yes.
And then starts
And all the time, it's everything.
yeah.
You know, it's everything. That's the relaxation. That's the kind of
Burnout.
the burnout. The fundamental relaxation, in a way,
Mm.
is that you don't have to look for it.
Yeah. The burnout can often be the burnout of the Groundhog Day, the repetition,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it.
and burnout of the seeking, of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
Distraction, David.
Distraction.
Is it distraction?
Yeah. Yeah. There can be many distractions. Yeah.
I've got lots. I've got
yeah.
lots of methods.
Yeah. Again, to distract you from the tension.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
But it's still there though, isn't it? Or is it lessened?
I mean,
Is it just it's going on anyway, that contraction, isn't it? It's always there until it's not.
that's it. I mean, it's there. It carries on. You know, it's like the Duracell bunny. It has got these little really powerful batteries that keep going until it just suddenly it's gone. Then
So at the risk of going on about it, it's sensible and non-sensible, but it's not both.
How do you mean by sensible and nonsensible?
Well, it's sensible to go motorbiking. I mean, I'm talking about personally.
Oh right, I see.
It's sensible
Brendan's often helped to justify spending £7.
it's sensible and
Permission.
You should
He
just
wants
spend
permission
it.
to spend
sensible
£7.
and not sensible in the sense of what on earth you do and riding the bear about your stage of life. Sensible, but it's not sensible and non.
So I'm gonna use a Tony phrase here, which is it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Does it seem like all those things, like really they're just turning the volume down on that sense, like the activities and things, they're just turning the volume down, and then what we're talking about is directly plugging it's just plugged out or the lead's cut.
Yeah.
Whereas all the other things are just turning the energy down.
Yeah, which is what happens because this body doesn't like tension.
Yeah.
It's just constantly rejecting tension. It's constantly throwing out tension. It doesn't want tension. It's cathartically removing tension all of the time, actually.
So it's trying to turn the volume down all the time.
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
And it will do that no matter what, even creating diseases as a result.
So no matter the cost to you, they'll still do it.
It will push out the if it can't come out in some cathartic form or another, it will come out in a physical, disease pattern of some kind.
There's a kind of addiction though, in a way. Sort of an addiction. Or addictions are that, aren't they?
Addictions are that, yeah. Sure.
So Brendan, you're addicted to your bike, you need £7 to feed your habit.
So I didn't hear what you
You
said.
said you're addicted to your bike and you need £7 to feed your habit.
Exactly, yeah. And I haven't got it.
It's essentially sort of addictions are a way of trying to rid the body of tension in a way that doesn't work.
Well, especially as we don't call it addiction. I don't call riding a bike addiction.
No, sure.
I call it freedom.
Yeah, sure. But I mean, a lot of people call taking quite powerful drugs freedom as well.
If I say to a client, I work in addiction, so I say to, twice a week, if I say to a client, what is it that happens when you use them, what stops happening? They often say freedom.
Yeah.
So it's the same. It's the same thing. It's just not.
It's just
not
a
sustainable,
different.
healthy way of doing it.
It's just, that's exactly it.
Yeah, it's the absence, isn't it?
Yeah, but in a certain sense, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
It's a form of self-medication.
Yeah.
That actually is, but it's just using things that destroy the body, or whatever it is, you know. And somehow the body is just rejecting.
And it tends to always seem to be that the desire is for the absence of self-consciousness. Not just sort of psychologically, but almost absence.
Yes,
yeah.
It is.
It's
of course, yeah. That's what everybody wants.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's a part of me that avoids pain avoidance or pain reduction, which is the same thing as tension.
Actual pain is a little different. I mean, you know, if you avoid a car coming towards you, that's an avoidance of pain, which is natural.
Yeah.
But what we're talking about in a way is the sort of tension of the me, and the sort of, in a way that how the body wants to alleviate that. Is something which is in a way sort of you have to be a bit careful about that saying generated inside the body, but it is that the me creates that tension internally, if you like. There isn't really an inside and an outside, however, but it feels like that tension is here, you know.
You're touching on something very profound, because what you seem to be it wasn't a suggestion, but basically that the whole drugs, the world. I mean, people seem to be driven by drugs. I mean, medical drugs.
Yeah.
And what you're saying is that people would prefer to take medication than deal with the stress.
Well, I mean, ultimately they're dealing with the stress. You know, I mean, how are they going to do it? You know, I mean, there's lots of ways of managing stress and tension and all the rest of it. And it's actually, in the end, very difficult to actually put a judgment onto what is the best way to do it. You know, there isn't actually a good and a bad, you know.
Sorry?
There isn't a right and a wrong.
No, I'm not suggesting that, but it's quite interesting what you said about, if you go back a few moments, that disease, you said. Disease can be created as a result of seeking to avoid the stress. Yeah. And disease is addressed by the medical profession, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, it sort of goes round in that sort of cycle.
Just thinking.
As a medic, is that what you're
It sort of goes round in a cycle.
Sorry?
It goes round in a cycle, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's you know, you need medication because you feel tense. You feel more tense, you need more medication, and it goes round and round like that. Yeah.
It's interesting how you said it there, because it's almost like actually the addiction obviously isn't the problem. Like the addiction is actually the resonance with freedom, in a sense.
Exactly.
The addiction is actually the part that senses the freedom.
Exactly.
The apparent problem is the illusory tension, if you like. So
that's it.
It's interesting.
That's what that's a good way of describing it.
Like the addiction is like the badge of freedom, in a sense.
Yeah. It's and that's often
Well, it is in that way. Yeah.
And that's often the perception is, you know, these people, which you will work with a lot, are people that have got it all wrong, and that they're at the bottom of the barrel, you know, of life. You know, because they've messed it all up. In a certain way, there's more honesty in the actual expression of, like, you know, this actually does break through
Yeah.
It's so powerful that it just knocks me out.
So the motorbiking is intelligent, really.
Just spend the money. I don't really sound. Let's all spread more together than me.
You're all chipping the ground that we don't have. Get you your motorbike fix.
Go fund me page.
I'll pay for it for you. Everyone come to my house and we decide whether I should fix my bike. So good.
So David, it's as if everybody's someone might be addicted to medical pharmacological drugs, somebody might be addicted to something else.
Yeah. And the fundamental addiction is me.
Yes.
So me is the addict.
Yeah. And there's a multitude of things that one might be addicted to. Food, exercise, it's endless. Anything.
Oh yeah, that
extreme sports as well.
All of
Like
yeah,
using
extreme
that.
sports. Yeah.
Falling in love.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Relationships. That's it.
But it is interesting.
It's all seeking.
What did you say, Peter?
It's all seeking.
Yeah.
It's just that some people kind of like focus on seeking.
Yeah.
And they consider that often to be better.
Yeah, that's a better seeking.
There's
a better freedom than that freedom.
Yeah, and money is another thing.
Power.
Yeah, and that's it. I was in a lot of those sort of arenas where people were, with the psychotropic movement, really think that they are at a higher level than the people that are, in London making money in the city.
Yeah.
It's a different world, but it's not. It's just not.
Same drivers.
Yeah.
So me equals addiction then.
Me is the addict.
Right, me is the addict.
Me is the addict. Yeah.
Whilst it's there, and when it's not, there's no longer a need to be addicted to anything.
That it's
Nothing to be addicted to anything.
Yeah, because there's that thing that's looking for something doesn't. Okay, it's just this immediacy, just this immediacy.
It doesn't need a solution.
This immediacy. That is what is being connected to. That is not in the me that the contraction is can't see it's already this.
It's just future past all the time, isn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe past, maybe future, or both, I guess.
Yeah. But depending on future, the futures that I don't think there isn't. Past, people kind of question about whether there's a past. Future, most people recognise it's absolutely impossible. That, which is kind of interesting. People kind of go, okay, the past is true because everything's sort of built on that.
Yeah.
One thinks, But the future, that's a bit of a challenge. But actually, the future is simply a projection of what has happened in the past or what people want to happen. There was something that happened in the past and we don't want that anymore. We want something else. The opposite of that. It's still based on the past.
So future is a different version of past then?
Yeah. But it's much more associated with kind of anxiety.
Yeah.
Because you're what's going to happen next? It's always like that. Whereas the past is I would think, more associated with kind of depression. What happened and why it happened and the regret associated with things happening and that sort of thing. Yeah.
It seems to me it's almost like there's the mechanism of that comparing this moment to a different moment is cut. It's just not there to compare constantly that. Like this meeting is as good as the last Tony meeting, or that seems to not be there. How it was.
Yeah.
Which is quite. When you spend like yourself, I spent years and years and years, and I would say it's only in the last few months something's really seemed to have changed.
Yeah.
But it's almost like there's a whole thing of, you're just sitting in a room.
Yes.
And I came from London, from one room. I'm sitting in this room.
Yeah.
And it's lovely. It's lovely to be able to talk with about this. But it is still just a room.
It is.
And it's almost like a whole illusionary. I'm going somewhere.
Yes.
It's just been.
exactly. Yeah.
But then it's
You
still
never
what I'd
go
rather,
anywhere really.
you know,
There isn't anywhere to there.
Yeah.
There isn't. There's no. You don't. You know, kind of going somewhere.
No.
Doesn't. You know,
No,
it's
this
just this.
becoming
So
something.
it's you're not really. You know, it's a funny thing that.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it is the same room in a way. You could say. Yeah.
It's like a few months ago, I was in this room for a different reason, or a different person talking about this.
Yes.
And I came to that room, you know, I left that weekend, something seemed to change,
Right.
and I've come back to the same room,
Yeah.
and it's just a room.
Yes.
And I'm glad to be here, don't get me wrong. But it's a very different
Yeah.
how it was.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
not,
Yeah.
There's not that pull that nothing needs to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to leave here and
Right. Right.
It's impossible to say what that is.
Yes, it is impossible.
It's totally impossible.
Yeah. It is, that's the thing. It's
Yeah.
what we're talking about is impossible to describe.
Yeah.
It's not, but it doesn't ever need to be.
No.
Because in a way, there's no energy to do.
No. Whereas
It's just like, oh, fuck it, there's no energy. I don't run out of energy now
Yeah.
to talk about, to even engage with that.
Yeah.
It's not. It's like you know that you know that question that sort of happens in self-inquiry. You know, who's speaking?
Who's speaking? Yeah.
Eventually, there's nobody that can be bothered
No.
to ask the question.
Yeah, because it's
there's not an actual. There's actually it's not seeking anymore because nobody can be asked to do it.
There's just not the energy to.
There's not. It's very. There's something extremely lazy about it that I want to kind of emphasize in a way that I want. This wants to sort of emphasise that.
So basically, the Buddha was a really lazy.
Yeah. Well. Yeah.
And it's like, who cares?
Yeah.
Yeah. In a way. Yeah.
The end of efforting, isn't
The
it?
end of everything. This is.
Nice.
It seems all the time when you're talking, it's really like that this energy, like that it's the plugging, it's the constant, either somewhat turning down of the energetic need to be going, doing. It's just the energy either turned down or plugged out.
Yes, and yet when that gets unplugged in different bodies, it can create massive energy.
Yeah.
So you unplug it, and then suddenly something actually increases. The movement increases. It doesn't mean that you just kind of lie flat on it. For some people, you know, you just fall asleep for quite a long time. But for other people that are, perhaps the me has been driving that body for 50 years in a particular direction or whatever it is, then it just kind of goes, okay, I'm just gonna relax. So it's different.
Yeah, and it's not the energy to do things that's plugged out. It's this energetic sense of. It's just somehow this energy to be going, doing.
Yeah.
You can't even. It's just like it's plugged out. This energy of me is plugged out, either turned down or plugged out altogether. Just the lead's cut.
Yeah.
And then I suppose things go on. Anything can happen.
Anything can happen.
Probably as enthusiastically or more so than before.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just completely unknown. That's what feels like freedom. That it could do anything at any point. That it doesn't have any parameters. So that feels like a wildness or a freedom, or different people describe that in a different way. But it's you're always just anything could happen. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what people are frightened of as well.
Yes.
Then I might just go and murder my brother or something.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it's a funny thing.
It's a
funny thing. Yeah, well, if you lose control, then what happens? But it's sort of that thing of like, well, if the energy runs out of seeking, then what happens. So the energy will run out of being in control, because in a way that's
what
part of seeing.
Is that what the me is all about? Certainty, though, isn't it? Trying to keep some degree of safety or certainty.
Yeah.
And what you're saying is that disappears, is all bets are off.
Yes, but that's the seeking. You're seeking control.
Yeah. Some safety, some kind of.
I'm seeking control of my
My
life.
life.
So the fear is what you're saying. With fear, when that goes, find out what might happen.
Yeah, well, if I knows what might happen, it could be that you get up.
Someone's going to murder a mum.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you could get up and do that, but actually, that would be part of an extreme part of a story, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
It would be like, oh, right now, I'm really going to get into the story of me. I mean, that isn't good.
It's a conversation.
Why would you do, well, it's like, no, hang on a minute, that's not there. So actually, I mean, if you think about it like like an animal, like a dog or a cat or, or a plant or whatever it is, that's where there isn't a me. So that doesn't go off and go and, kill its mother or something, I mean.
David, I think you said a few moments ago that the past clearly can be related to regret and things like that.
Yeah.
To me, it's often seen that the future is to prevent the past, to impose some sort of control, and that's the seeking, that's the me, and that's the addiction. Now, immediacy is immediacy, so that can't take place if you're constantly regretting what happened and preventing. Kind of all.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Kind of all makes sense. Yeah.
It's just it goes down to zero, so the energy,
and
finito, and then all that's left is this immediacy.
And as far as concerns or fantasies go about how I'm going to be when I've collapsed, that's still the internal seeking, evaluation, prediction, projection, anything like that.
And it's also like because I mean everybody has a fantasy about that, about what it's going to be like, and and I had that, and I thought, oh yeah, well it will probably be, in a meeting or in a very beautiful situation in nature. It'll be one of the two, and if it's in a meeting, then probably what will happen is I'll suddenly something will happen, and then I'll get up screaming, and I was really afraid of that because I'll be extremely embarrassed about the situation.
Exposed.
Because I wasn't, I don't really like that really. And to be honest, I was a little bit worried about
It stopped you.
Yeah, and in actual fact, it was really like a fart in the wind. That was the end. Insignificant. Insignificant. It was just like a sigh. Yeah. It's just a sigh, and that was it.
Sigh.
A sigh. Then it was just, it was nothing. Just nothing. So that's the thing. The fantasy. It's a fantasy. It can be any kind of,
So when that nothing was at the other side of the room, as you earlier described, about that side of the room and this side of the room, did you think, I'm glad I sat on that side of the room for all those years?
Well, I mean, it doesn't, there's no difference.
No?
There's no difference. Now I can say there's no, but what you're asking is about, you're asking about a progression.
Yeah.
You're asking about something. If I hadn't have done that, then would the me have fallen away? There's a compulsion to come to meetings, like a magnetic compulsion.
Yeah.
That you can't do it, that there's nothing that anybody does anything about to come to a meeting. It's like a magnet going ooh, and going to, you know, it draws you to the meeting. And that seems to happen with certain people and not with others. It obviously doesn't happen to everybody, otherwise there would be many more people in meetings. But there are certain people that kind of just get drawn to that. And there's something where the me is dying, the me is falling away, the me is breaking down, and there's a pull of that just sort of energetically draws. There's no choice about any of this.
I'm just imagining the fart in the wind was surprising.
Well, I mean, it's surprisingly neutral or surprisingly non-eventful. Yes.
Yeah. So the opposite of surprising.
Yes. Yes. You could say, yeah. It wasn't shocking, which is, I think, what can be associated with this, because, you know, certain people that have spoken about this in the past do talk about it as being shocking and extremely like this and extremely like that, but it doesn't always have to be like that. It just depends.
I think Jim Newman said something similar, that when he finally fell away,
Yeah.
it was hardly anything.
It was hardly
very similar to this.
Yeah.
Possibly a fart in the wind.
Yeah. I mean,
So I'm a bit boring about this. So in terms of this surprisingness, the fart in the wind.
Just stop with that now.
There's no past. There's no past about sitting this side of the room since 2006.
there's the memory of that.
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, there's a memory, yeah.
There's a memory of that. And how is that?
Well, it's just a memory.
But what does the memory say?
What do you mean? What does the memory say? It's just a memory, just an image or a sense.
What does the memory say? I was sitting that side of the room and now I'm farting this side of the room.
I mean,
I'm being slightly frivolous, but I'm just quite interested just to...
Well, what your question is about is what, you know, is about progress.
I know that, yeah.
Yeah. That's that.
But I'm just wondering what the memory is of what that side of the room was like since 2006.
It's a memory of being in a seeking mode, if you like, or a seeking, a quality of seeking, which I would describe as a kind of tension.
Yeah.
And then the end of that tension. That's all. That's all it is.
So was there a sense of relief, or was it?
Yes.
There was.
There is a relief.
Okay.
Yes,
I suppose that's what I'm getting at. Is there a sense of relief?
There's a relief. There's a sense of relief, and that is a very there's a profoundness to that.
Yeah.
That is absolutely the case. There's a profoundness to that.
So there's a contrast between the relief and the memory of seeking.
There is, yeah. There's yes. It's a different sense.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah, I should hope so.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, otherwise it would, you know, what is sensed there is, and that sense that I remember is a sense of tension that wants resolution.
Yeah.
And that cannot avoid seeking that resolution wherever it goes and whatever it does. It can't avoid that because that is the energy mechanism of the Duracell bunny. You know, it just does that. It's a mechanism, just goes round in a circle like that. Can't help it. So it does that, and then it runs out of energy. and that's it.
So it's actually quite simple. The Duracell bunny doesn't appear to do anything else. It's
No,
simply
it
that
just does the
just
same,
does
yeah.
that. It doesn't
That's
talk,
it.
it doesn't dance, it doesn't whatever, and then finished.
Yeah, and then it's just the end of that.
Do you regret not calling it that now?
What?
This immediacy, not calling it fart in the wind.
What is
Should
it?
at least drop in the ocean, shouldn't I? It's a bit better, isn't it?
I quite like fart in the wind.
Yeah, no, I could use that. Yeah.
Still good, it's not too late.
Yeah.
Tony's often said, I've often heard him say, or at least back in the past, about, it's just like a breath out.
Yeah. That's a beautiful way to put it, yeah.
Yeah.
It is like that. It's just that, that's that feeling that I guess that there's that I could feel tension in this body, particularly in the chest, and that sort of loosened inside.
So is it like that there's that tension, there's tension in the body which seems to belong to a person, a sense of a me,
Yeah.
and then there's this breath out, and then it's not no one to who anything belongs to. So
Yes, there isn't. Yeah, it doesn't belong to anybody. There isn't a. There's no one that gets it. There's no one that gets not being me. Because of course that's the end of that energy. The energy just falls through the floor, and then there's no energy, so there's no me. Dissolving, other people describe it as dissolving or whatever, and then there's that recognition that there isn't such thing as a me, a me which is known. It's just energy in that form. And everything is energy in different forms. So that's why, Tony describes it anyway in that way of being everything. All there is appearance.
And belongings can start to vanish. Belonging's the wrong word, because the me was related to buying books and seeking spiritual books. Then my room is suddenly becoming empty because those things have no relevance.
Yeah.
I think other speakers have
Or
spoken
they're
of
just
that.
books.
They're just books. Yeah.
With stories in them.
Yeah.
The books are other storybooks.
Novels.
But they certainly don't have the same relevance in the story
No,
that they
the
had
sting
before.
or the poison is taken out.
Yeah.
It's drawn out of them. So that, a lot of those things, I mean, they're just what they are, just stories, but some stories seem to get people more caught up in, further, seeking and seeking and seeking and seeking and seeking. Yeah. It's very tiring though, I mean, that's the thing. It is extremely tiring, all of that stuff.
You have to keep fit.
Yeah.
You do,
Yeah.
really.
And it's exactly the same actually as, that whole industry associated with health. Everybody is seeking, a healthy body, or what health means, and health is an instinct. It's absolutely impossible to find what that is.
It's instinctive.
Yeah.
Say that again slowly. Health is what, sorry?
Health is an instinct.
Instinct.
Yeah. It's instinctive.
So
You can't figure out how I'm going to be healthy. No animal does that. Has a list of things. Oh yeah, I have to do this, run this, and yet somehow, you know, wild animals particularly have an incredible ability to you know, if they get injured, it's like the ability to heal is 10 times faster than human beings. You know, it's...
Well, sometimes human beings find that despite treatment they don't heal. I'm not getting any better, that can happen.
Yeah.
It's like there's no need to get in the way of healing.
Yeah. That's absolutely, yeah.
So this what is seen as health in society, or what was seen as the seeking of health, that's self-preservation, is it? The self preserving itself, thinking it's in this body, so must look good, must feel good, must not die.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
self-preserve.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a good way of describing it. It's a way of containing and being on it. All of those people that you see in that health industry, they're always driving towards what is good health, and the tension that creates. That's why you can have those that seemingly something which is very, very healthy, that very driven, healthy person, and they can be doing whatever they're doing and just, one day get a heart attack. And everybody goes, oh, but they were so healthy. It was so, wow, look what they did and all the rest of it. It's so amazingly healthy. And, oh yeah, and then it will be blown off, oh yeah, they had a congenital heart problem. That's the reason. It's not the reason. It's that the health is instinctive in the body. The body knows what to do without there being a me justifying everything and getting in the way of everything. It knows how to do things. It knows what to choose food-wise, all of the rest of it. It doesn't require. There is no requirement for a me, riding the horse of the body. The horse never needed a rider.
So it's instinctive to eat the right things. I mean, so we just basically override our instincts, don't we?
All the time.
Shit or staying up late or whatever. Or
everything
is just overriding our natural instinct towards health. Yeah.
There was an amazing film I saw the other night called Wild, about the rewilding of an epileptic state. There's an incredible bit in that where, just as you're saying, they realise they just have to. They introduce the animals and then they just get out of the way.
Yeah.
The moment they interfere, it starts to go wrong.
Yes.
And the animals instinctively just know how to form the landscape. Well, they're not intellectually, it's just happening. And it's an amazing film.
They find the balance, don't they?
Yeah. And we are, there's no separation of that, is there?
No.
Exactly that.
It's just, the me just wants to be wants to get be in the boss. He wants to be the boss of it.
Interfering mechanism.
Interfere. Yeah.
He wants to be the big boss.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of it. Right? Certainly seems to be here that there's that conflict between the natural instinct that there's something absolutely, I'll use the word knows, but that it doesn't need to know, that it doesn't need to work, that just life will happen, just living will happen, right?
Yeah.
What you're talking about. And then there's also a massive amount of control so there's this constant, seems to be a constant fight between that. And then the me sort of wants to get rid of that. So it, because it's felt as tension, because it's this constant fighting, and then so it will do things to try and get rid of it at the same time while continuing to control and squish the other. It just seems to be this.
Well, it's
frigging crazy, fucking insane, frustrating, depressing, exasperating.
Yeah, and the me is. Fighting with itself, you know.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's like, squish this down, let's do it, and it's got this whole network of ways it does that, and ways. I can be, you know, it's just crazy. The millions of ways. I mean, it's been said in here that there's so many ways that the me looks to escape from that, or you know, whether it's a substance or a food or a person or a behaviour or a thought process, and at the same time so it wants freedom or respite from that, or someone or something to fix it and medicate it and make it all nice and make it go away, and at the same time it's compounding it all anyway, so it's just bloody stupid system, if you ask me.
I mean,
who'd thought that? Absolutely.
Well, I mean, who came up with it? Yeah, I mean, that's the interesting thing. Is it's just energy. That's what it comes down to in the end. You know, is that is just energy happening. There isn't a reason for that going on. And that's the problem. The me is always looking for, well, why is this happening? If I could find out exactly why this was happening, then I could find a solution to it.
Absolutely.
But there isn't a reason.
But that adds to the frustration, because when there's this continual, it's like when it seems to come to the point where it knows nothing can be found. Nothing, there's no understanding that can be applied to it. There's nothing that, well, if I just get this bit, or if I just work that bit out, and it's like, so that just adds to the frustration.
And that's absolutely, that's the beautiful part. You know, because if there was a solution, then you would go off seeking it.
Yeah.
That's what it meets. It meets that no solution.
Realisation, actually.
And that's what it.
And so the Duracell bunny, you know, going back to that, sorry, but that just, you know, keeps on going. So if there's a solution, that's absolutely great. It's got a carrot there to run after.
It's like a recharge.
It finds a surge of energy.
Yeah, exactly. Let's go. Great, you know. And then it just carries on. So what you're talking about, you know, is the difficulty, yes, but it's also, you know, that aspect which is beautiful and, you know, wonderfully hopeless, as Tony has said. You know, that wonderfully hopeless expression. I really liked that. But it is. It feels like when this is saying that, it feels like teasing. In a way, I always felt that, you know, when that person is sort of expressing something, it feels like, oh well, it's, you know, it's all right for you. You know, you're not feeling this tension or whatever. But essentially, it's not like that. It's that there isn't any energy anymore, and there is something beautiful about there not being any energy to need to find a solution to any of that kind of intricate weaving, the mess that you're describing. It's like, oh, it's a terrible mess. How am I ever going to unpick it? You're never going to unpick it. You're never going to be unpick it, and that's, you can relax. You don't have to unpick it.
Is it just that the energy stops? The energy stops happening to try and. It's not. There's never really a problem. It's just it's sort of an energetic sense that it's sort of generating this imaginary problem. It's like an energy. There's never even actually a problem. It's just. It's a sort of an energetic.
Yes.
And I can just see that the energy like today there could be 10 problems, and the mind, it's this thing, and then it's just the energy, and then there's just, it's not that there's no problems, it's just that energy isn't, there never was a problem in the first place. It's just that the energy seems to relax or something, and then it's just...
there are things to do, there are things that want to be done, but there isn't something which where there's I've got a problem. You know, that I've got to fix this problem. You know, there isn't a me there to actually kind of drive that whole process on. So problems are resolved, but there isn't something that's actually kind of, you know, pushing for that.
Most of the things we talk about aren't actual problems, they're just these, like there could be 10 things, apparent problems today, and then it'll be a different 10 tomorrow, and you know, they're not really even problems. Like problems come and go, you sort them out, but these it seems just the energy just seems to, it's like an energetic problem, isn't it? Like it's not an actual problem, it's an energy.
Well, it's just, I mean, I think what you're talking about is, in a way, stories associated with problems. Like the story of a sequence of problems. When the story breaks down, then those are just things that are happening. Then there's no ownership of those problems or those things that are to call them problems anymore. They're just things.
They're not significant.
Because the me sort of creates like little worlds around each of those. They're like projects. So it's like the me's like a total project junkie. But each of the problems have their own atmosphere, their own. They have their own life. And they have to be solved and fixed. And the next one. And the next one.
As if your life depends on it.
As if they're like.
Some of them are very important, some of them aren't.
They sort of have an illusion of leading you somewhere. That there's no rungs if there's not a problem.
That's it. Life is a series of problems.
And the idea of retirement.
But it is for seeking energy. In a way, that is another thing, which is, you know, I mean, for me,
ultimate project.
For me, it was always about fixing problems.
Well, we talked about this morning, because if the me doesn't have anything to worry about, worries the fact that it hasn't got anything to worry about.
Totally. Because that is especially as if it was a kind of that particular me was a sort of a worrier and a problem solver, then it just goes about the world trying to do that, trying to solve problems, and ultimately trying to solve the world, trying to solve the me, trying to solve the difficulties of the world, which essentially is trying to solve the me. All of that sort of very altruistic energy is all about the me.
It always, isn't it?
I mean, the world doesn't require anybody to fix it.
It reminds me of Dave Stewart out the Eurythmics. Supposedly was diagnosed with something called Paradise Syndrome because he didn't have a problem anymore. And he said he turned it into a problem.
Which
is then called Paradise Syndrome.
That is a very interesting. Paradise Syndrome.
Just as you were talking about there, I just remember Andreas mentioning about like all these problems. They're like small building projects that somehow, it just really energetically somehow for me, it was just seeing them when he talked about it, that all these building projects, that they were all, you were doing a bit here and there, that they were somehow going to come together. And then things will go, and I just had seen then that they're not problems, and nothing ever comes, it'll never come together.
No, it never does. Well, no, but that's the thing, is that the me is seeking something which it can never find. Because it's got it's got to drive towards this end goal, which is impossible for it to find. Yeah.
But it doesn't stop you doing it.
No, but again, it's not. It's not. The me is a mechanism. It's not a real thing. It's not like, when I say real thing, what I mean is that it is a separate thing by itself, which has its own. It is a known thing. It isn't. It's just a mechanism. It's just energy going round a loop, like this.
Stuck in a format.
Yeah, and it's just like that. It's just going round and round and round and round, and then the energy just.
I think when I was talking about that, it seemed like before that, it seemed like these apparent problems were something real.
Yes.
But then it just kind of seemed then they were actually just energetic.
Yeah.
It was just like they were nothing, they were empty, they were just energetic problems. They were just energy appearing as problems.
Right, yeah.
That somehow, like they were nothing, they were just like a wisp of smoke. There was no, like the problems can seem so heavy, like it's a problem. You can nearly visualize this problem. But it's just an energetic problem.
Yes.
To trying to fix something that that isn't a problem in the first place. Really.
Yeah.
Trying to fix a problem that doesn't need fixing, that isn't a problem.
Yeah.
Or never can be fixed. It never will come together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, I totally understand that, yeah. Yeah.
And David, it became apparent that the mechanism that is used to seek is guaranteed to fail. It'll never get there.
No.
And like the guy who has the heart attack after keeping fit for 30 years or something, he's actually probably avoiding death. Sort of, I must not die, I must not die. So, so death is inevitable.
Yeah, yes, and again, out of anybody's control. The me believes that it can. I mean, there are so many practices of longevity. I mean, what a ridiculous idea that is. I mean, you know, to try to extend the life of what does it mean that? So
that's what they're all doing, though, isn't it? All the Musks and Bezos, they're all.
Yeah. Of course. Well, they need to.
They've got to live forever.
They've got to live forever. Yeah.
So much money, I want to enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that type of thing, the immortality, cryogenics, it's the same as religion in a way, or reincarnation in a way. That is also the continuation of the Migos.
They just didn't have cryogenics at that time.
Yes, of course.
That's the, so if you don't have cryogenics, you've got to formulate a plan of how the me is going to extend beyond, you know, a certain lifetime. So, you know, reincarnation, karma, you know, all these kind of things are naturally develop. For me, it's completely natural that formulation of energy. How am I going to, you know, keep going forever is the me's question. So this is naturally what comes out of that.
There's something reassuring about a mechanism is bound to be inefficient.
Yeah. And bound to break down.
Yeah.
Bound to not be able to, you know.
Sort of an excuse for one's excuses in life.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if everything does actually just naturally fall away, which is quite clear, to me is, you know, about it
means doomed.
Yeah, it just means doomed. Yeah.
Like, is it something? I'm just like on that thing about the problems. Like it seemed before like that they were separate, that there was these actual problems being created by this sense of. But it's really to say it's just that energetic. It's just the one thing, isn't it? This energetic problem making. There's not actual separate problems.
No.
It's just
it's the fixer.
Yes.
That is the issue, and the fixer here is an addict. The me, the addict to fixing things, to seeing the fixer has to see everything as a problem.
Well, the fixer is creating the problems and then running around trying to fix them.
Yes.
So they're really, but then like just for me, it was just the sense of that there always was all these problems. Like I had these problems, and something was, this energy from me was making these problems or something. They seemed to be separate somehow.
Yeah.
And then it was sort of seen that it was just an energetic problem. It was the problem maker, the energy.
Well, I mean, everything is energy. Everything is energy. The problem, the problems, the me is energy.
Yes.
The everything's energy. But there's a contraction in this somewhere. That contraction owns those problems. They're my problems. Or contraction, that's a problem. You know, if there's a contraction, that becomes a problem. The idea of a problem. I need to fix that problem. It's like it's a mechanism, and that just cycles. That just cycles. That whole thing cycles until it just runs out of energy. And when that runs out of energy, then it just goes back to there just being things. This is still energetic, but it's just energy that does those things that don't have any owner. There's nobody owning it. Is that?
Yeah, I suppose even it's the sense of not even problems, but just an internal energetic problem. Like even if there's not problems as such, there's that internal energetic problem. Something's wrong.
Yeah, something's wrong. It's a feeling of something wrong. Yeah. So a feeling of something. That's the me. Yeah. You know, that's that feeling of this isn't quite right. Is it? And that is always keeping this, just what this is, away. Because this is a problem. If this is a problem, then it's not just this. It has to be, this is not enough, is what it's saying. This is not enough. Definitely not enough. This is a problem. We've got to fix this. This can't just be enough as it is. It's got to be, but actually all there is just this. Mate, that's amazing that it's just this. That there's nothing actually to,
resolve.
To resolve.
This is rejected by the me. Yeah, this is constantly rejected, as is the recurrence of a feeling of some sort. If there was feelings of shame or rejection, they will be avoided, I would guess. That feeling that emerges is one, I must not feel that again, isn't it?
Yes, I mean, I think that certain feelings are unlikely to sort of be felt by me. Like shame particularly is very often, I think, associated with there being a me there.
Of course.
That is kind of like, I shouldn't do this or I should do that kind of thing. So it's sort of almost like limited by a lot of things. But when there isn't that contraction, then there isn't that sense of limitation.
Of course, because it's a relational thing. It's felt, but the me is always relating according to.
And there is no relationship.
Yes. Brilliant.
The me is always how do I appear, isn't it? How do I appear? Can it be seen? And shame feels like it can be seen.
Yeah.
But the me sort of tries to cloak itself.
Yes, I mean, there's some emotions that are obviously just there. They're just, But there's some of these things which are kind of like what you might call sort of me-augmented emotions, which are kind of claimed by the me, which are then turned into a sort of more complex energy, like shame. I think jealousy, certain other things can be like that.
Guilt.
Guilt.
Yeah, they become almost like character, like almost like Shakespearean.
Probably
they are. That's what they're written.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like super strong me.
Yeah.
And fear is similar.
Well, fear is definitely, there's definitely fear, isn't there? That's, fear is an immediate, fear to me is something that is just immediate. You respond to that. But then there can be that, what you're describing as fear, it could be imagined fear associated with a story. It's fear that is about, you know.
Like the me can have a fear of failure. A fear of,
sure.
I'm not going to get that wrong
again. Yeah.
And whatever that may be.
Yeah, for sure.
It's amazing how the whole thing, like in a way, we talked about this ourselves, but like what you said there, it's just this.
Yeah.
Like the difference between it's just this, and when there's an openness and that's heard energetically, that's the difference, isn't it? Just
yes, but it can only be heard energetically when the energy is falling away. So it's in a way it just isn't heard otherwise. It's not that there's somebody intentionally not hearing it, or the me's kind of like a bastard that's actually trying to mess your life up. It has no power at all. It has no ability to, it is a mechanism. That's why I kind of relate it to the, some clockwork thing or something. It feels to me like a mechanism, something that just keeps going, and then just doesn't have any energy. So it's not, it's
like with it, it's probably really as much just like a contraction. Like I know the word me is used a lot, but
it's just contraction.
It's just a sort of an energetic holding on in the body.
Yeah, I mean, me is a crap word actually, but I actually I prefer to call it the me state.
The me what?
The me state. The state of me.
State.
It's a state. In fact, there isn't any other state. There's no other state. There's just the me state. Everything else outside, there's nothing outside of that state.
That's great. Yeah. So everything else is just happening without that.
Right.
Only the me has.
Right. And so every experience is a state experienced by me, but it's the me state that it actually is. So yeah, to describe it in a way that sort of recognises that it's a mechanism. It's not a me, which is a kind of actual, like a little person in there. Bullshit. No, that's we're back to kind of souls and things like that, which you definitely don't want to be in.
It's like patterning of different phenomena.
Yeah.
Yeah, that me state, obviously, one doesn't then solidify the me and think of the me living inside this body and making decisions on it. Because the me's a state, as I said earlier, the me's always seeking optimum state, optimization.
Yeah, that's it. And avoiding its death, because it's very afraid of it dying. So it has this image of like the me, dying, R.I.P., on the thing. Yeah, all of that. So that's the image that it has, of, oh, I'm going to die. The me's going to die. But there isn't a me to die. It's a mechanism.
Yeah.
And this body will try to if a car's coming, it will get out of the way. It's not going, I'm fine now. Don't worry about these kind of things. It doesn't do that. It just goes fuck and runs. Well, it doesn't even say that. It just it's immediate.
It's instant. Yeah.
That's
immediacy.
Same. It's the same.
It's just fuck afterwards.
It's immediacy in an extreme situation, and then there's this immediacy, which is just this immediacy.
I like the me state. I like that.
Yeah, I thought it was quite a nice little
Yeah, because it's not something solid, is it?
Exactly.
It's a kind of...
Yeah. It's
just
not
it's
as...
a way.
Yeah, and Tony always says, you know, it's not real. You know.
What's not real? The me
For
state.
me, is not real. There's
Yeah, it's
nothing
just
real.
another
Nothing's
energy,
real.
really. It's just another energy.
It's just another energy.
It's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not an actual thing.
It's not an actual
Actual thing.
Yes.
So the me's claiming me as in me is a thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, that is the basis of everything. Is that in a way that the me believes itself to be real. It claims itself. I claim myself.
The whole of
Hence all that
United
me,
Kingdom. Well, yeah.
The whole of
Yes,
life is
like-
about creating a me state, isn't it? The whole of
Life.
Yes.
is about creating a me state.
Yes.
And solidifying it.
And yeah. Making it. Yeah.
Something crazy about it, isn't it?
Yeah.
I like that analogy.
Yeah. Something.
I like the analogy you get of like a whirlpool where the more it gathers into itself, the more real it as a thing it becomes. The more
Yeah.
But actually, you know, it's not a thing. There is nothing in there. It's just a current. It's a movement.
Yes.
It's a patterning.
Yes.
I mean, Christmas is the really good example of the me state going crazy, isn't it?
Oh God.
Christmas time.
Well, yeah. It's a huge story. It's a big story, isn't it? Yeah. Christmas.
Yeah. That so like really that sort of that feeling of like, if you want to call it the me state, and it's energetic. It's just an energy.
Yeah.
And it seems really like it's all energy then, and obviously then the plugging. It's somehow just plugged out then, and it's plugged out.
Yeah.
It's not like me dies. It's just the energy. It's an energy. And it's just plugged out.
Like a TV. You know, you're watching this film and you're really into it, and then suddenly pulls the cord out, and you go, "Oh, shit!" You know, I was watching that. I was really in that story, and then all you're looking at is a blank screen. Oh, it's just, you know.
Yeah, it seems just like even all the energy. It just keeps coming back. It just seems like the energy's plugged. It's just plugged out. The whole somebody just goes over and just says, "Right, that's not right." Just plugs it out of the wall and then. Yeah.
Or burnt out.
Yeah.
The plug burnt out.
Yeah.
Fused loads.
Just that energy just stops. Seems to stop. Yeah.
Yeah.
I suppose that's why it is more of like because like it's not a better channel that's being put on.
Yeah.
Like the person who expects is going to be a better show or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just the end, so it's actually just like
Yeah.
Like, it's not what I wanted, and it's not the person wanted in that
because
way.
the person wanted the continuation of the program.
Yeah, to be better or whatever.
Yeah, and because they're looking at that, because at the end of that show, so there's something good going to happen. That's why you have to keep on watching TV. Yeah, that's the then you just get what was always there in the room, which was just the TV and just the TV or whatever. And then somehow that is a relief that you don't have to constantly engage in the story of what's going on.
Constantly waiting.
Constantly waiting for the next series that's going to come on.
The drama.
Yeah. And that doesn't mean that you don't watch TV.
Don't
just to say, because you do still watch TV, you know. Yeah, there's still TV that is watched, you know, you just watch.
Well, me states are quite entertaining, aren't they?
Can be, yeah.
I love watching Keely Hodgkinson run. I mean,
there you go.
I mean,
watching what, Brendan?
Keely Hodgkinson run. I mean, it's beautiful, isn't it? But she has to win.
Yeah.
So it's beautiful to watch.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's a really me state, isn't it?
Yeah.
Me state having to win.
Yeah. It's the drive to that. I mean, all of those things, you know. That there's, I mean, people there is a natural energy there, a sort of natural, you could call it sort of competitive energy.
Yeah.
That's actually completely natural. So that's just happens, you know. That can just happen, and in a way, those kind of sporting events are associated a lot with that sort of energy. You know, and that can be very exciting or whatever it is. It's natural. But
is competition natural?
Yeah, in a way, competition, you could say, the energy of one energetic force attempting to overcome another energetic force, then friction that occurs with that, completely natural. You can see that in the natural world.
Boxing.
Everything, anything, yeah.
It's like creative friction, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. That's exactly. It's a friction, frictional energy, and frictional energy occurs in everywhere. You know, but
the pear's growing.
But what we're saying is that me needing to win, because it's very important to me, and it's all my life is about winning, that's something which is different. It's got nothing to do with that. It's just energy in the body that just wants to go this way or that way.
It's not easy to distinguish, is it, between which and which?
Well, no, it's all, you know.
One can feel more natural. Well, David, I take it one can feel much more natural. But basically, if there is a drive to win, and that might be based on inadequacy, that I must win, then that becomes obvious to the person, and that natural winning or competing can probably feel very natural compared to some neurotic drive to avoid losing.
Yeah, it's just not even, you wouldn't even call it competition in a way. It's just in a way just the energy of that expression expressing itself, and happens to bump into other people in its process of going where it's going. You know, and there are some boxers that actually that are a little bit like that.
Well, boxers and sports people say you don't have the luxury of thinking, and therefore you're in a flow state where you're not necessarily there.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially competitive.
Yeah, because you have to be in the whole of your body all the time.
Embodied difference.
It's not. There's no. Yeah. It's much more. It's confronting these extreme sports. You sort of are confronted with that fear of death sometimes.
The me dying,
or the actual fear of the body being hurt. And so then suddenly it has to, suddenly it's like, oh, and it very often, you know, people in car crashes or whatever it is, there's no time, there's no anything, there's no me, there's just this. But it seems to be these very extreme situations. It doesn't have to be these extreme situations. This is constantly this.
It's like a survival state rather than a me state.
So the me gets shocked out of existence then, does it? In that moment.
In a way, it's like the body is just takes over. This is completely. It's funny actually. The me is so useless that suddenly the body, when it needs to survive, that's out of the window. It's just absolutely irrelevant. And that's the actuality of it. It is actually absolutely irrelevant.
Exactly. I mean, I've had loads of motorbike accidents. Sorry to mention it, but I've had about 7, and each one, everything it's just so really quick, and it's really slow.
Yes.
There's no concept of.
Yeah.
And the next thing you find yourself, you know, somewhere else.
Yes. Yes.
And come around and you're in a hospital bed.
Yes. Yeah. It's very, very incredibly fast. The body's response, amazingly, you know. This is such a I mean, this is the interesting thing is that that's in the extreme. That's all the time that we've been here in this body. These bodies have been, the heart's been beating. There's breath. There's constant activation of digestion and things like this, and it's this is all happening without anybody kind of going, oh yeah, well I've got this to-do list, you know, oh yeah, let's do some digestion, breathing. You know, it's that there is an interesting, there's a line in one of the, these older Chinese books and things which I really liked, and it was, I think I can't remember where it's from, but the line was, control of the breath is violence.
It's violence.
Yeah.
Is that Jean Klein? Jean Klein used to say something
I think
similar.
I think it's actually from the Tao Te Ching or something like that.
Makes sense.
But it is there's something that is very interesting about that. Even any control that you try to engage is a sort of attack. It's an attempt to do something that the body just does naturally.
I suppose the problem for the person that it always comes up against is it can't do instinct. It just can't. And that's what the wall we all come up against. It just can't.
No, you can't do instinct.
When it's there, it seems to be there, it can't help but try.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
then it can reach that real just.
Yeah. That's it. And it can't help but try.
It can't help.
Yeah, exactly. It is bound to try. That's the mechanism. The mechanism just tries. It just is a trying mechanism. You can't do anything else. Yeah, as you say.
Like falling asleep, you can't try to fall asleep. You can't do falling asleep.
Yes.
People when they actually struggle, they're really trying to.
You can make
control
it
that.
Conducive. You draw the curtains. Do the heat down.
The illusion is that you think that you are, isn't it? Like if you're having sleep hygiene and you're doing this and you're doing that, and the reason I slept last night was because I did this.
Yeah.
Because of that, there's this illusion the whole time that we're actually influencing the outcome.
Yeah, exactly.
Completely delusional.
All the time, it's like, I've got this to do, that's that, then I'm definitely going to sleep now.
Yeah.
And then you don't sleep. And then it works, or it works for 3 days, and then on the 4th day it doesn't work. Oh, something must be wrong.
Yeah, it's the moon. It's the cycle of the moon.
Yeah, it's the moon. Thank God for that. You can blame it on something. It's too. It's in the end. It's
futile.
Yeah. Sometimes there can be a natural urge to sleep at a very natural time. It'll go dark.
Yeah.
Let's say it's 6 p.m.
Right.
And then it's gone dark. Feel sleepy.
Yeah.
It's time to sleep.
Yeah.
And then I'll override it.
Yeah.
And come whatever time, 11, 12. No need to sleep.
Yeah.
And then you're desperately trying.
Yeah.
The more you try, the harder it gets.
Yeah. The me seems to be very much a me state at a superimposition, a sort of a label, a sort of something on top of everything else.
Or it seems like that.
Seems.
I mean, it's actually just a very insignificant aspect. It's a contraction, but it's a very insignificant aspect. It likes to imagine itself to be extremely significant, but it's actually just like a little loop that's just going, energetically, But it seems to have as in the world, it seems to have a big effect. Yeah.
Sorry, what has a big effect over lost the train?
Just the me. It seems to have quite a profound effect in the world.
Yeah.
Right, in the story of the world, but actually that is as a overall. It's not as significant as it imagines itself to be. Human beings and their sort of what they do are far less significant than they actually imagine themselves to be.
So what's the word? Is it full of sound and fury, signifying nothing?
That's right. That's Macbeth, isn't it? Yeah.
It's just sort of Trump and everyone now. So mean.
Exactly. Yeah. And all in a story. All a story that everybody believes.
Yeah.
That everybody is in touch with that same story, and so that story can
It's like it becomes like a huge me and has all the ingredients of blaming and keep yourself together and trying to get more and more and more. And
yeah.
A group me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Group me. Yeah.
I guess that must be the case though. You know, we have these countries are group me's, aren't they? They're states of me on a massive scale.
Entities.
Stories become,
big
huge
stories. I mean,
societies, cultures.
Yeah. I mean, all of those things that you mentioned all of those things are stories.
Yeah.
Like, so the world doesn't really exist.
Yeah.
There isn't really a society.
Climate change?
Obviously not. It doesn't exist. It exists as a story.
Yeah.
Clearly.
And everything that we in life, human life, is lots of different stories about lots of different things, and constantly going from one story to another story.
Yeah.
And all the time there's just this.
Yeah, and none of it stands up to scrutiny, does it? It's like a country. You look at I think they use it in a film about Rome. It's like, where's Rome? It's not this, it's not that.
No.
Where is Rome?
Yeah.
There isn't a Rome.
No. That's right. Exactly. Yeah. Where is the edge of Russia?
Yeah. And it's the same with this, isn't it? There's no.
Sorry.
The me
it's just in somebody's mind.
Yeah. Exactly.
And it's like, oh no, it's over here, it's not over here in my mind, so we've got to do this.
And it's the same thing with us, isn't it? Like, Pete, where is Pete? There isn't anything in the end.
You won't find it.
You won't find it.
No. Exactly. Yeah.
Nuts.
Absolutely. Absolutely nuts, yeah. And just energy happening. In completely chaotic, there's no, strategy there. It's just everything just happening. Yeah.
David, I like something from your website. I think it's on your website.
Yeah.
Why is a very preposterous
Oh yes,
question.
yes.
That really like that.
Yeah.
There's resonance and understanding and more. Because the me constantly, the me state for me, it's all about why have I got a headache?
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe I shouldn't have had.
Exactly. There's always a why. There's always a why at the base of that, for a lot of these things. Yeah.
I like the Tesco bag shot.
Yeah.
Tesco bag, what's it?
There's a shot at the back of the website. Tesco bag in a bush.
That's my favourite photo.
Well, it's also in Tesco bags. That's the thing. It doesn't, it's not a, it's not a, oh no, that's the, everything is, it's everything except for Tesco bags,
It's like, so sometimes, some days there'll be just absolute flow. It's literally, things can go from being extremely intense to all of a sudden it's just like everything's flowing and there's no efforting and then the next day or whenever, all of a sudden that intensity comes back and and this can't quite be it because I'm aware of the words that I'll say. It feels like the me grabs me back in, and that's not right because it doesn't grab me back inside because there's
just a bit more charge that day. Bit more charge on that particular day. Get a bit more energy on that day. Go around a few more, On other days, everything's easier. I think that goes on. I think that actually does happen for probably a lot of the people here. I think there is these ebbs and flows, and there are those times where the me is not a constant state. It is not constant.
And Tony said, I think in maybe the first meeting I went to, that this isn't necessarily the way he expressed it, but as the me dies, it does still seek to maintain that control, or that there can be ebbs and flows, meaning there can be periods of the me's falling away, and there can be days where the me says, no, you're not, it's not going to be this easy, or something. It can hold on.
It can hold, it's the mechanism of me is to hold on.
Yes.
So there will be those days where it's holding on for dear life.
And I think he said that the equivalent of it'll hold on, it'll pull out all the stops and hold on for its dear life.
Yeah, it can do.
Yeah,
and then it can change in an instant.
Yeah.
That's the thing about it, is that it isn't something where you can go, okay, it's doing this. Now I can see a graph, and at this point it's going to be directly proportional to this, and that's when it's going to happen. You can't do that.
Should the why collapse? Everybody's why collapses.
The questioner collapses. The one that asks the question why, it doesn't exist anymore.
So the
in question is secondary, if you like, to the questioner. The questioner just runs out of juice.
I don't know whether. What I'm saying is the collapse of the why.
Yeah.
Everybody's why collapses because there's no why about the other whys.
There's no why. Sorry, can you say that again?
Well, for example, the collapse of the why.
Right.
For you, there's no interest in other whys because there's no why.
Oh, no, yes, that's true, yeah. There isn't an interest in the why anymore, in the whying.
There's no interest in whying, so I mean that's quite powerful, isn't it?
Well, it's relaxing. Powerful. I wouldn't call it powerful. I mean, I would say it's relaxing. It is relaxing.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. Oh, that is relaxing.
There's no why.
Yeah, it's relaxing.
Yeah.
It's relieving. Yes, that's it.
So when this friend of mine, no names, no patrol, but involved in this environment rang me recently and said that it had occurred, collapse.
Right. Yeah.
This person said he wasn't lonely anymore.
Yes, I do understand that.
Say more about that, and then you understand.
Well, I mean, loneliness in perhaps the way that this person that you're describing is saying.
This is a single person, as I understand.
Okay. Yeah. But as you know, it doesn't have to be. You don't have to be single to feel you can be in it. Yeah. So I mean, but loneliness of that kind, essentially, is a sort of missing something. It's a missing of something. It's
the why. It's the why that's missing something.
Well, you could say why isn't there a partner, or why isn't there essentially it's unrequited love.
It's a need.
You could describe it as unrequited love. Yeah.
It's a need.
Yeah, it's a need.
Yes.
Yeah, totally. But it's essentially that it is in a way all of this, a lot of the stories, that we hear, the real Romeo and Juliet and everything. All of those stories which have got a love which is sort of separate, broken away, and there's a gap. That is a sense of loneliness that I think that the me desperately feels. And that's what kind of has that idea in it that is associated with, if I find a partner, or if I find whatever it is, a group of people, or
a dog,
community, or a dog, or whatever, then that will be that will be the solution.
Yeah.
And of course, that when that happens, there's a realization that isn't a solution.
It's like unrequited fullness, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because when it mistakes an object, a person, anything, then it sets up that thing, oh, now I can lose them.
Yes.
So it just creates another problem,
Yeah.
doesn't it?
Yeah.
As soon as it gets what it wants, it starts to create a problem with
Yes.
the other object.
Well, it isn't everything.
No.
It's something.
Yeah.
It's an object that has become an object.
What
You know, the
belongs to it.
person that you're with, or the situation becomes an object.
Yeah.
But you're constantly sort of feeling lonely,
Yeah.
even though there is that sense of
It
separation.
mistakes the desire, the longing is fullness. And
Yes, it is. Yeah.
not separateness and not
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it thinks it will be everything, but it's not.
It is exactly. Yeah. It thinks it's looking for everything in a jar,
That's what we're told. That's what
which
we're
is
told.
apparently marmalade.
And it's just the secret.
So that's what we're told, isn't it, from a very early age, that there is something that will make you feel whole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
whether it's a car or a job or a
Yeah.
relationship or a marmalade or,
Yeah.
you know, being good at something.
Yeah.
It's all just seeking though, isn't it?
It is,
Seeking
yeah.
a partner,
Yeah,
seeking
it is.
a degree, a
Yeah.
job, a
Yeah.
career.
Yeah.
David, do you like marmalade?
I do actually. Yeah. I do. Not as much as Tony's he's the king of marmalade.
70s thing.
I don't like marmalade.
So you don't?
No, I'm too bitter.
Yeah, it's,
Quite an English.
Just always want to overwork it.
Is that, David, that's like this question, like it's the energetic question, the contraction in the body is this energetic question continually, really, is it?
yeah.
Like, so when that's plugged out, the question and everything else collapses.
Yeah.
The other things, all the things we kind of talk about are sort of, they seem like offshots of the original.
Yeah.
The original is sort of, this energetic contraction is sort of given the, whether it's real or illusionary, that all these things are sort of offshots of it.
Yeah.
Like we're sort of talking from the outside in, really.
You could say, well, if we can talk about any of it, but yes, you could say that there is, branches of that.
Yeah, we're kind of discussing the symptoms really of this energetic sense contraction in the body.
Yeah.
And when everything else collapses, when it's plugged out, I suppose, if for want of a better word.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The question dies.
Yes.
With the energetic, when the energetic question collapses, the question and everything collapses with it.
Yeah. That's I agree with that. Yeah.
Kind of all the symptoms collapse then.
Yes, exactly. It's like exactly. You could say that it's like something. If you have, it's like a Christmas tree. You've got all of the lights that go all the way up to the branch. You take that out, then it all goes. It's the house of cards. Yeah.
Are you still doing your Tai Chi in the morning?
Yes. Yes. Yes, I still do.
And how is that different for you in terms of the intention behind it then? There is no...
I mean,
just
it's... I... Basically, over the years of doing that, because I've done that for a long time, so 25 years or so, and to begin with, there was definitely a seeking in it.
Yeah. This will make me feel
this will make, but as things have happened and there's something breaking down with that, I gradually went towards a sense that, well, more of what we were talking about before, the body is just, or the body knows what to do, has a sense of what it needs to do. And so gradually I got a sense that actually the body just simply moves towards pleasurable sensation, pleasurable movement.
So it just likes, the body likes it.
The body, exactly. The only reason, in a certain sense, if there's not really a reason, but the body just goes towards that kind of movement. It doesn't have to be any specific kind of movement. And I think that essentially I do a little bit of Tai Chi, but underneath that is just sort of movements which are associated with pleasurable sensation. So the body just goes towards stretching and moving in a certain way, which has that in it. And actually, because I was lucky enough to have the people that I was connected to in Tai Chi, who are very, very interesting people, brilliant sort of teachers associated with that. And there is a huge amount of drive in me associated with that. But there's also an aspect of it which is very much to do with that they just love the movement, and that they, in a way, the only reason that they're really doing it is because it feels good. And that's something which is kind of, in a way, kind of hidden. And that's the only real interesting part about it for me now.
Interesting.
The body just, what feels good to the body, it just goes towards.
And it's kind of habitual as well. I mean, it's just the muscle memory of just doing that for so many years. It's kind of what you do, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And it can. And if there, I think that if it was something that was sort of doing something that was really forcing the body to do something that was difficult, it would just fall away.
If it was painful.
If it was painful or complicated or difficult, whatever it is.
You had to kind of push through to do it or something.
And now it just sort of like, some days I'll do more of it, some days I'll do less of it. Some days I'll do, just some stretching or moving, but it's it's much more spontaneous, easy, and it's sort of things that I have learnt. So they're in body, it's a sense. So all of that can go, I think everything that is given up is things where there's a sort of extreme, like I was saying, like an extreme efforting towards getting somewhere. If it feels good to do what you're doing, the body will just keep doing it, But I mean, in a lot of that world of Tai Chi and yoga and all those kind of things, there is a huge drive towards getting somewhere. It's massive. Just like any other form of exercise, actually. The drive is still there.
In fact, it would probably be rare to not find that.
Extremely rare. Yeah.
I came across this thing called myofascial yoga, which is it's amazing actually. It sort of, rather than trying to get you into any position whatsoever, it says, right, the intention here is on this position is maybe to, I don't know all the term, but to work with that, or to allow that part of the body to do what it needs to, and then you support people to find their way into it in a way that works for them. It's absolutely brilliant, actually.
I mean, if you want to see like the origins of yoga, just have a look at a cat.
Or a baby.
Or a baby, And you just watch it, or a dog,
Downward dog in the morning, my dog does this little.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the whole of that is driven by just pleasurable. It's just pleasurable. And when and the funny thing is that people do that as well. In the morning, what happens is that people get out of bed and they do this, they do this stretch, and then they think, okay, now I'm going to do some yoga.
They've actually just done it. Yeah.
That's the yoga, or that's the origin. That's it. The body just does it. And that's interesting to me. That was always kind of like, those kind of things were very interesting. I sort of tried to look into that, how the body spontaneously goes towards certain movements and certain things, because actually it's self-organizing. It doesn't need the me involved. It just goes, and it's doing all of those things all the time. But and the me comes in and tries to formulate it.
Or override it.
Yeah, override it, yeah.
I suppose as well as like pleasure, there's also seems like play. In terms of movement, play exactly. Seems to be a big one as well. Like there just seems to be a natural instinct to play. Like sports seem to be a natural form of movement in that way. Yes.
Yes, playfulness within things,
But we always make it something, don't we? It's like we make it into something. It can't just be playful anymore. It's like
It's like really becomes very serious, and you get people funding it, and then it becomes even more serious. It's very innocent, and if we kind of just look at David Attenborough and unplug his voice, which is what I just tend to do if I'm watching anything that, is actually that the animals are not learning anything. Animals don't learn anything at all. It's just, they're not play fighting when they're little cubs, and then later on it's like real fighting. It's actually, they're just little, and then they get bigger. And it's just it's completely spontaneous energy. It's just energy expressing itself. It's not learning something like we go to school and learn things in that way. It's instinctive. All of these things are instinctive. There is nothing else that's required. The me thinks that you need to fill the child and whoever it is with lots of things. Let's fill it up with lots of things. It doesn't know anything. It's just a child doesn't know jack shit, so we've got to fill it up with things.
Well, animals follow lion cubs follow their moms around, don't they? And there's a certain amount of kind of...
Well, it's an energy, it's an energetic, it's a union. There's not one, it's one thing that's happening. It's not, we see those things as separate. But it's not. I mean, even when they're big, they're kind of not.
It's not the learning and then the growing up. It's like a.
But it's happening all together.
I often mention my granddaughter. She's 2.5, and there's no me there. She will talk about herself, but in a very it's not there's no me, and but she is completely led by pleasurable sensation. And you'll say, do you want this? No. Do you want this? No. She doesn't have to think about it. She doesn't have to work it out. It's just no, or it'll be yes. And it's or the movement, and it will be quiet, or she likes to be upside down a lot. She does a lot of down dog because she loves it. Absolutely, she loves it. 3-legged dog. She just loves that, and she just loves moving her. You can see her moving her body in a way that just gives her pleasure.
That's it.
And sometimes she'll go and she'll look at her body in the mirror because she's so curious and she's fascinated about this wondrous thing, It's amazing.
And the body just when that me isn't there, the body just unravels by itself.
Yeah.
Just goes, oh.
Absolutely.
You know, everything just moves. It just does it because it doesn't have the lock is there of the me trying to fix it, and as soon as that drops out, then the body just goes, oh. And when people, this is something that happens a lot with psychotropic plants. You know that's you know, when people say, you know, like with healing associated with the plants like that, a lot of the time it's because the me is in a different state, so it doesn't have the control of the body the way that it did, and then the body can just unravel. Yeah.
I quite like, I came across TRE,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if anyone else, tension release exit, and I love that because this body definitely responds to those things really well, and it's just, you know, it's like my body says, you know, just leave me alone, because I can just get on with it so well, and it's like, and then it's like, okay, you're here again, okay, we'll just be still, but with TRE it's lovely because it's just so deep, and it knows that tremor response, it knows what it needs to shift, what it needs to unwind, what it needs to release. It's lovely.
Yeah.
Doesn't need a me at all for any of that.
No.
And me says, yeah, but I did that.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Of course,
I did that.
Yeah. It likes to. Yeah, it's all ownership. Yeah.
Well, I found with TRE, I did it for a long time. The me was still there.
Oh yeah.
Owning and controlling. And so I'll do a little bit more. Oh, this is going well and whatever. When in fact the whole response, the shaking response, the tremor response, is ideally supposed to take on a life of its own, if you like, and heal, release what has been release contraction.
It often these kind of things work for a short time. Because once the me recognises, oh, that's what that is, then it will go whoosh, and that's it, finito. You have to find something else which it hasn't done, you know, and then as soon as it's got the pattern, you know, or as soon as that as soon as it's part of that, what is known, then it becomes something which is mine.
Of course.
As soon as it's mine, then it's connected to the mechanism of the me state. It's part of the me state. You know, it's connected into the sequence. Yeah.
It's probably like because we're constantly doing that, treating these apparent symptoms of being a contracted energy in the body. It's all the symptoms. Aren't we? We're constantly finding things, doing things, thinking of things that'll make this better. It's all the symptoms really. We're sort of again from the outside in. Really, it seems like every time we talk, it's like I do mean that like it just seems to be constantly that energy. It's always sort of from the outside in. When the root problem is still the root problem is the root problem. It's not even a problem, but it's the root of everything. It seems all those symptoms, if you want to call them that. Really.
There's many. Yes, I totally understand what you're saying. It's the fundamental point being that the me has that sense of being real. I am real, you know. That's right at the and then it all then you can get all subtleties out from that.
Just that we just happened to this ourselves, like amazing, like how when there's just what I said to you at the break, David, like when there's an openness suddenly, it's amazing really when there seems to be an openness.
Yeah.
How, like the words, it's just the immediacy. Like how an openness within the body seemingly, or an energetic openness, that this can be seen, it's seen energetically what.
Yes.
The immediacy.
Yes.
Of,
yes.
Like.
Yes, it's always this, but that's veiled in a way. You could describe it like that. It's veiled by the me. The contraction seems to be contracting of the senses.
Yeah.
So the senses are part of that contraction. All of the senses. When that sort of that tension dissolves, then the senses, different people are always different, but there is a sense that breaks down, and then the senses are sort of clearer, you could say. They don't have that tension or restriction in them, and so then things are, they're exactly the same as they were before, but there is a quality of about everything which is just unexplainable. But there's no separateness, there's no sense of separation, and no sense of a sense of needing to do anything about to bridge something or try to get somewhere. Yeah, so it does make objects I don't know how to describe that, somehow clearer.
There's an immediacy.
Yeah, there's an immediacy.
Like
yeah, exactly. There's no gap.
Yeah. And it seemed just even understood that it's somehow, like, just seemingly energetic, that it wasn't coming from anywhere or going to anywhere. It was immediately.
Yeah.
Just.
Yeah.
A movement and everything in it, but immediately sort of full, just immediately. Like,
yes.
It's amazing just when there's an openness, how just really then.
Yes. Then it just is what it is. There's no nothing between. Yeah.
Like it would seem like that sort of sense of that contraction just does seem to put a blinker on.
Yeah.
It just seems to be that way, doesn't it? It seems to.
Yeah. Yes, certainly. I get a sense of that.
So recently it felt like I was listening to music for the first time, because previously the me had been listening to sounds.
Yes.
And then music. Wow, look at the lyrics, the poetry of the words, and this has been in the last month or so.
Yeah.
When there's been.
Yeah. Yes, it's like
it's a phenomenon. Yes.
Yeah. Everything is that quality of newness. Everything is new.
Yeah.
And I had that sense of, although I know it's, I didn't have a childhood where there was a celebration of Christmas, but the quality which is of the sort of sense of everything, like Christmas Eve, where everything is very still and nothing and everything is ready. That quality.
Yeah.
That quality is quite interesting. That's, to me, there's something about that which is always this.
Yeah, it's like a sort of just a still fullness, like a fullness.
Yeah. It's fullness.
Just fullness, just.
Yeah. And emptiness.
But it's very still.
Yeah.
It's like a
yes.
It's like a kind of dynamic stillness.
Yeah, in that, yes. Yeah, which is these two, it's always that, like you say, these two opposite, full, empty, dynamic, still. Yeah, it becomes like, well, what do you know, what does that mean? Doesn't it? Yeah, that's exactly this. This doesn't, that's why there's in a certain sense it's totally undescribable, because it's the end of opposites.
So how can it be full and empty?
It's the end of both. It's undescribable, it's not fullness, and it's also not emptiness.
Because people say, oh, it's full. Oh,
I don't describe it, I wouldn't describe it. I would say it's not neither fullness or emptiness.
Right.
But some people just call that empty fullness or whatever. But I like that it's neither, you can't describe it, undescribable.
Like that.
So you can't say it's full and you can't say it's empty. And if you call it full and if you call it empty fullness, when that generally people think of that as something in between. It's like a glass half full and half empty. It's still an object, you know. But actually it's neither one. It's not real or unreal. It's neither. Can't describe it.
If you're just putting a name on it, aren't you? Empty fullness.
Yeah.
It's just another
name that you then have to kind of figure out.
Think about image of it or something.
What does that mean? Could it be like, if I pull that out, that, you know, that's not going to work.
And it's always brand new because of that, isn't it? Because there's no landing, possibility of landing on any concept about it or anything described by anybody even. So it's totally unknowable.
Exactly.
And it's always just on.
Yeah.
Now.
I like that word, unknowable.
Yeah.
I think it's a good word. I like it.
Like Darrell Bailey says, inexplicable happening. And I think it's a lovely description. It's just inexplicable.
Yeah.
But there seems to be there's a sort of, not even that, because it's not directionality. It's almost like senses are dead, or passive, or either of those is right.
Yeah, or not. It's not. It's the senses there, but nothing's being owned.
Yeah, it's not.
It's like not. It's not your
no
sense. It's just sense.
Yeah, it seems to be that almost there's one sense of. I don't know, but even that just makes.
Yeah.
Carved up.
I mean, it's not going to be the same there as it is here. But yes, that there is still. It's all energy. Yeah.
It seems to be very full on.
Yeah.
Just.
Yes.
Never sort of not.
Yes.
Just
brighter, more. Yes, aliveness. It's a good, you know. Tony talked about aliveness a lot. I remember. I like aliveness. Yeah.
I
think I described it here. It just seemed like it was just full. It was just full of itself.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's inexplicable. For me, anyway, that's energetic, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, how would you even explain how that would? What that even? No.
Well, we were saying that it's not the words in this conversation, or this, or anything that is what we're talking about. There's kind of this idea that if there's something here that's got words, then this is the focus. It isn't the focus. Everything is already this. So it isn't significant. It's not saying that it isn't the words. It's the words and this and everything else. But those things aren't significant. You know, this has got the same significance. You know, there's no significance about somebody sitting there talking about something. You know, that's a completely ridiculous thing. So there's no significance in this, and that is quite, you know, that's what's the kind of strange thing about meetings in a way, because there's a sense that there's something significant about what's going on here, and there isn't. You know, it's in fact that's the thing that sort of falls away in a way, you know, for me, that sense that there was something significant here had to fall away before there was everything. You know, I had to lose that kind of, something had to kind of break down. Yeah, about the significance of the speaker. There's no significance. The word, it's all the same. That's a kind of weird thing, that everything has got a quality of sameness, you know. Yeah.
I like the Christmas Eve thing because it's like that sort of, it's like the edginess, the sort of on the edge. That's it, yeah. On the precipice.
That's it, yeah.
And it can't quite, and it doesn't need to. It's like Kenneth would say, it's free fall. It's just that edginess constantly.
Yeah, it's always
it can't be grasped. Yeah.
It's always at that, exactly.
It's amazing.
Yeah, that's it.
I heard a description once I quite liked. It was not knowing, wanting to know. It's like at the same time, nothing is known, but there's like a wanting. It's just in loveness, I suppose. Is the term.
Yeah, I would say. I would rather than wanting to know, I'd say in love. Yeah, that's in
not
loveness.
Wanting to label or.
Yes.
It's just.
Yeah. It's wonder.
Yeah, wonder. Like
yeah.
I love those words, in loveness and wonder and Tony often talks about innocence and I spoke about it earlier and I just love those words.
Yeah.
It strikes me as well in all traditions, everything in the beginning is prescriptive, isn't it?
Yeah.
They give it as a prescription. Be like little children. Be there's all these things, and then that's what is.
Yes, but also interestingly, you know, because that kind of has this assumption in a certain sense that the little child is innocent and the adult isn't.
Yeah.
But actually, there's all constant innocence.
Yeah.
Exactly. There is not there's no, you know, when you've got the uncarved block. Is innocent and the carved block isn't innocent. No, it's still the same.
It's the same.
It's still the same thing. It's always innocent. Yeah. So in a certain sense,
There's that thing of like the in loveness is good, and the not being in loveness is, you know, it's still
and it's always in loveness. Yeah. It's always in loveness. Whether there's whether there's a me or no me, that it's still in loveness. It's still in loveness. It's just in loveness where there's a total denial of in loveness, or whether there's something where there is no denial anymore, where something breaks down and there's nothing left to deny it.
Does it seem that like really a lot of the time with all the, like what I know we're talking, nothing really ever happens, does it? Like it seems just that the energy seems to go out of things. Like the energy seems to fall out of things to make them happen somehow, does it? Is that how it seems to go?
Can you
like nothing's ever resolved, like these problems and all these things and questions, it doesn't seem to be ever a resolution, but it just seems the energy behind them seems to there's
no interest to try to resolve it, because as you said, the energy is pulled out like the plug. The resolving machine has just been pulled out. The plug's been pulled out of the resolving machine.
It's like an endless bit of music with no big finish.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
just constant.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
it is really like it's a lessening or a plugging out of that contracted energy, and everything else is a sort of all the other things are a sort of consequence of that diminishing seemingly. It just happens that way. Really, it's not really the other way. Well, maybe it is the other way around a bit, but I don't know. It seems to be, it's more the energy's turned down or plugged out, and everything else is a consequence of that, really, rather than. Yeah. In that way, I think it just seems to me here like somehow like nothing really ever changes as such. It's just the energy. That's how it feels. Like the energy that comes out of it, or somehow just falls away by itself. The energy to do something, or the energy to loop thoughts. The energy seems to fall out of them. Or seeking, the energy seems to fall out of that. Nothing ever happens. Like nothing ever changes in that way. Like, but it just seems the energy goes out of it somehow.
Yes, the perception that certain things are important are no longer important.
Yeah.
You know, just they go, oh, that isn't important, and then that's the end.
Yeah.
Great, perfect example. I mean, that's.
Right on cue.
I love that. That's exactly. That's the right answer.
Yeah, the importance get out of things in action.
Yeah, brilliant, totally brilliant. Honestly, that's what I love. You know, like that's why I think it should be like that. You know, that having a, you know, you can have like a.
A bed.
You know, beds. Like, I like that.
The only problem is if you snore, you end up everyone gets pissed off with you. So.
Yeah, but I mean, why should everybody get pissed off?
It's
We can talk to really ignore it.
It's a garage is not it? I was sleeping as well. It's
Yeah.
It feels refreshing. Don't you find that if you fall asleep you can wake up and it feels so refreshing, like when you
restorative.
Yeah, because it's just actually there's a rest going on.
Relaxation.
On a deep.
That's awesome.
I'll wake you up when it's time to go home. I'll wake you up if it says anything good.
Yeah. Tell me as well.
Oh well, yeah, I'm still waiting.
Great.
It's amazing really with that energy, because actually when that me energy seems to be running in the body or whatever, there doesn't seem to even be proper sleep. Like it's obvious that, you know, some people struggle to sleep, and that's obvious, but even in so-called good sleep for the person, it's not that full restorative body, deep cellular kind of sleep.
What's that like?
Oh well, I can't tell you that.
I don't think I've ever experienced that.
You did maybe 4 or 5.
Yeah, but I mean, possibly what needs to happen is that you get, you know, when you get really tired in a day because you've done something and you feel like you need to, I just have to put my head down for a second. You know, those kind of like 20-minute nap kind of things. That's just basically, that just, when that goes, you just have to. You have to. There's no choice about it. I can't continue driving because I'm going to kill somebody if I don't.
I have that too.
So then you just kind of go like this, because that's all that there is that you can do. Everything else in the whole world becomes completely irrelevant. You know, I just have to lie down. There's something interesting about that. The me is a lot like that. Like you just it gets so exhausting that the only thing that you can do is to have a rest, and then that's it. You know.
You see it in children as well. Like often after periods of heightened emotion or something, like children will often have a tantrum or scream and those are crying. And then there's this really deep sleep afterwards. It seems to be like that for the body.
Exactly.
It's sort of
totally. That's the kind of.
Just flop,
Yeah.
My dog does this insane thing about once a day where it just goes absolutely nuts.
Running.
Yeah, my
And
grandchildren
you have to get everything out of the way and open the doors at the front and back, and then it just goes and it sleeps. It's just amazing. It looks mental.
Yes, it's completely self-organising. Amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just too much energy, and here it goes.
Great.
Yeah, when I watch my granddaughter does that, she'll do that, once a day or at least once a day, and it's just like you just think she's going to explode or hit into a wall or something. It's just this running, throwing, arching her body all over the place. Absolutely manic. And then it's done. There's no point trying to. You can't go in and try and stop her from doing that, because it's like a force that's just not going to be stopped. So just like that, maybe they're twins.
It's just and I think because the me comes in and has that strong contraction later on, it is that all of those mechanisms just stop happening, and it becomes something that's quite controlled in there, So when that drops out, there can be those kind of those things become more spontaneous. Irritation, expression, just becomes more spontaneous. Just comes out. There's not so much filtering. Of certain things.
So David, something that Tony said that similar to what you've just said, that emotion can just arise all of a sudden. I'm very much finding that. It's not even relevant what I may remember of who did what. It can just be whoosh and then rage or anger or something. And then gone.
There's gone,
And that doesn't fit with the story.
No.
Because previously in the story, when I go to see so and so, there's no story aspect to it.
So that's, in a way, the body's just, it's like these things that we're talking about. It's catharsis.
It probably seems more like there's no past story to, like the anger just comes up immediately. There's no past story to it, and there's no future to it. It just comes up. There's no story either side of it.
No.
It just boom, and then you tend to be laughing after. You go, geez, that was some little burst of anger. It's kind of funny that the story doesn't continue. It just it's cut off. There's no. It has no. The continuity's gone out of it. There is no continuity to it.
Sure.
Just.
There's a lot of energy that's stored in this body, and the me's contracting around it for a long time. And when that starts to break down, things just do, come out. If it hasn't been expressed, it just can just come out. It's possible. Because there's no rules, or the rules are not recognised as being like this.
There used to be a guy who used to go to Tony's years ago, and he became known as Laughing Rob, because he would be in pain. He said it's actually painful.
I remember that.
Crying. And then he said, I spoke to him a few years ago, and he said after that came this wave of intense anxiety for about 2 years. And then.
Okay.
But very fun.
I mean, the body stores a lot of energy. For sure.
I just had this wonderful sense of freedom of. Actually, there's. Just for a second, there's no rules, there's no nothing, there's no constraints. It's just this sense of freedom, and it was like, and then the thoughts and all came back. It was just it's just quite amazing actually.
It's always
the idea of freedom as opposed to living within the constructs and confines of the me's way of navigating. And
this is freedom. This is freedom. This, just this, without anything added. Doesn't need anything added.
That's got mind blowing. That's just absolutely mind blowing. Just this, there's just the sense of this freedom, and it's just like, fucking hell.
Yeah.
And my brain's going, you swear too much. Tony's going to be watching this.
Oh, he loves it, but they do all for you. No, those are the good words, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, that's what kids immediately go, oh yeah, that's a good word. Because it's got energy in it, it's got a real, kind of...
Absolutely.
I mean, that's probably what all the birds, if we could translate what all the birds now, they just say fuck all the time. I mean, that's what I've often thought that. It essentially is that words with energy, right, is the swear words. So that's essentially energetic words. So all the animals and plants and everything is just pure swearing. It's just going on in a way. They're not very PC. The nature is not particularly PC. No.
Someone should redouble the Disney films that have cartoon birds.
I love that. Yeah, that would be great.
What was that again?
Just redouble the Disney films with birds. People swear like.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Because when you've been doing this for a number of years, you'll get a bunch of flowers on there as well.
I like the hair. This is a hair, by the way. Amazing, yeah. It's great.
David, you know, just thinking now, so Lizzie was talking, like, it's like that energy, that contracted energy in the body, like, it's just, like, it feels like, it's just like there's a subtle holding on-ness to it all the time, like, there's this, you can sort of see when it's on, it's almost constantly using energy, it's sort of a, like, you can imagine when it's switched off, how free the body would be, because it's constantly, it's a switched onness, there's a constant switched onness with it.
It takes up a lot of energy.
It does.
For sure. Yeah.
It does.
Oh yeah.
Just the watching, the carefulness, there seems a sort of a whole energetic, nearly an energetic holding on this sort of.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah. I mean, it must. Difficult to estimate you know, the amount of energy it takes up, but it certainly takes up a lot of energy in a person's day and life. You know, is around the me, the contraction, and when that sort of is unplugged, of course, there is, I think, for most people, with that sort of, there is more energy in the body.
Like, it's a draining, it's a constant drain on the, like, it's almost like it's something that's draining. It's something that's running continually, draining power, energy out of the body, really. It's continually drawing with the switched onness, with everything, even the symptoms of it, the whole, it's just a continual, it's like sometimes, Jesus, just switch it off, switch it off.
Yeah, totally.
It's sort of like a car that's stationary and you're just you're just revving it full. Well, different degrees for some people, but it's exhausting.
Totally.
And then it's the burnout thing again, like the engine can just
Totally, yeah.
You can almost feel, I think you can just almost feel then, sort of when it thins down a wee bit somehow, how much actual energy it's using, because you can nearly feel the switched onness, I find. You can nearly feel the switched onness all the time. Whereas before it was covered by many things, when the sort of things, because a lot of things, doing things seem to stop, there's just a switched onness then.
Yeah, I know what you mean, There's a lot of, once those sort of peripheral things are out of the way, then you just feel that standby mode.
You're not, it's not it's just stationary but turned on. It's still using the power to still.
It's on standby.
It's on standby,
Just watching it, watch everything.
It makes sense. Good way of putting it.
It's a mechanism. It's an energy it's a mechanism. Just something that is going on. It's just happening.
And now it seems to be just seen somehow here, just more and more as purely energetic.
Yes.
Like it's an energy. It's an energy. It's a running energy. It's an energetic. It's a running energy. It's just energetic.
It's energy in a contracted form. Everything is energy. This is what we're talking about when we talk about the me state. Is energy in a contracted form.
And even that contractedness is draining, because it's a sort of a contractedness that's drawing all the time, isn't it? It feels like it is in this sort of tenseness of it, this sort of holding onness. It has a draining effect. Seems like that. Anyway.
I mean, it's extremely
depleting.
It's depleted. It depletes the. Yes, it can feel very. It's exhausting, and as I was saying before, that contraction, it can create all kinds of tensions within the body, which become, sometimes can become quite, have a physical dimension to it, and which are essentially disease states in the body. So that also then drains the system. It's impedance in the flow through the body. It's impedance. It's like a restriction in the flow through the body. Restricted flow.
Like even by the nature of it being constantly, subtly switched on, there's a subtle switched onness constantly. There's a draining. Like even we'll say, like before, even if you take it like there was a story like past, future. Like even that, the amount of seeming energy that's not being burned up by this constant past, future. Do you know what I mean? But and then there's still that energy being burned up. It's, you know, these peripheral things are sort of shrinking down, it would seem, but there's still that internal switched on energy sort of. Sure, yeah. Probably covered up by all the other before.
Yes.
It wasn't noticed so much because you had so many other
things going on.
And as they seem to. It seems to sort of. I suppose become more concentrated. It's a concentrated.
In a certain sense, I mean, that's what you know, seeking is about a lot of the time, is that people sort of give up those sort of more peripheral things. They kind of think, oh, it's not about getting loads of money, and it's not about getting, you know, this, it's not about getting that. It must be about getting what this thing wants here. And this thing here wants everything. So how do I find everything? Oh, it must be this monk that knows. So I'm going to go to him as a teacher, and he's going to teach me how to get everything. Of course, that won't work. But it is essentially the root of all of those peripheral things. Yeah.
I love the word impedance.
Yeah, it is impedance.
Like the whole word is impedance.
Impeded. Yes, it is. It's like a resistor in a circuit.
Like what?
Resistor in a circuit.
A resistor
in a circuit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Creates a lot of heat. Yeah.
A lot of what?
A lot of heat. Yeah.
I think when Ollie was talking, just an analogy, I thought sometimes I might be with somebody in a car, we've made a long journey, and then when you park up, you've stopped for something, it's kind of nice to turn the engine off or the heater on, and then there's a peace. Then you can sit, relax, you're not going anywhere, you might be having a cigarette, whatever, but once the heater's switched off, the car's switched off, the engine's switched off, then there's a peace. The me can be a bit like that, where you're going so fast that until these things begin to fall away, there's no notion of knowing what's the difference.
And most of the world is in that.
Absolutely.
Most of the world is just caught up in the driving of that. Yeah.
I suppose that like it's a really just you're always in a subtle state of tension, slight tension. There's always a slight sort of tension, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like a type of conflict.
It's a feeling of tension.
At the same time, it's limitless. The impedance is limitless.
Yes. How do you mean limitless?
It's fucked up, isn't it? Really.
Well, you know, actually, the point is that the impedance, or the what we're talking about, impedance, or the contraction, it ends. It isn't limitless in the sense that it falls away.
Yeah.
So it can fall away at any point.
Yeah.
There's no, you know. Yeah, it's definitely not, you know, that.
I wasn't saying the impedance is limited, but the energy is limitless.
Oh, the energy, energy.
That's what I meant. The energy is limitless.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what interesting. The impedance is which is energy, is limitless.
I see. Yeah. I see what you're saying. Yeah. Sure.
So almost you could say there's no hope.
Yeah. Or there's no hoper.
That's a good one. Come on, that's a good one at 5. There's no hoper. Sort of ironic, isn't it?
How do you mean?
Ironic that whatever you call this message, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
I can't get the words out, is the answer, but nobody sees it.
Yes, the open secret. Yeah.
That's
It's a
it,
paradox.
yeah.
Yeah. It's you know, it's open but nobody, but it's for no one. Yeah.
Yeah.
But in a certain sense, that paradox is incredibly beautiful because
It's funny, actually,
it doesn't
isn't it?
require anything.
It's quite funny.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, ultimately, I mean, it is funny, although, yeah, that it's a joke that is quite, you know, it's got a dark humour to it, I guess you could say.
It can be painful funny.
Yeah, it can be. Yeah, totally.
Isn't there something about, isn't there some term that says about God, in terms of God?
Yeah.
Great. Is that, do you know that? What's that one?
Which one is this?
About seeing that it's just a big joke.
God
Yeah.
is a comedian.
Sorry?
So
Joke.
God is a comedian with
Yeah.
no audience or something.
Oh,
Yeah, something like that,
yeah, exactly, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's in a way, yeah, it is. It's like, it is a joke, you could say. But it's a weird thing, that joke. It is a joke, but it's, a lot of people won't see that as being funny. A lot of me's will definitely not find that amusing, you know.
It is funny that.
Yeah.
I think Alan Watts used to say something like, something on the lines of God existed, then wanted to do something, then he'd done something, then he did more and more, and he addresses it to us as his audience, then if you did more and more, the ultimate dream would be for you to be doing something but forget who you were originally.
Right.
And then, God got bored, so did more and more and more until the separation was extreme.
Mm-hmm.
Then not knowing the origin,
Mm-hmm.
that's the whole joke as well.
Yeah.
The ultimate fun would be to play a game but have amnesia that you're playing the game.
Yeah. But I mean, I think it relies on the idea that there's a creation.
Yeah. Of course it does.
You know, so there's a sort of, this is the thing about any kind of story, it's always got a beginning, a middle and end, you know. And even if that end is actually forgetting what the beginning is, that's still, it's still a story, it's still caught in that, you know. But yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah, it's a paradox, there's a paradox, isn't it? Yeah.
think there can be a situation where the me state that did seem so real becomes questionable and can reach a point where it isn't questioned, but it is just doubted so much. And that's what's happening here, where the desire for the me to remain, or the residual something for the me to remain, is overridden by the this can't be.
You could say that you could say that the doubt is the energy draining.
The doubt is the what? Sorry,
is the energy draining.
Yeah.
Draining. Yeah.
And the doubt gets louder. Yeah. It can start as an inkling, and then there can be more. Than the conviction.
The whole thing can sort of feel a bit less heavy, less real, more empty, sort of, I think, more energetic really. It seems to be how it is here anyway. It just kind of seems more like an empty energy, like an energetic happening rather than something real. Like before it hadn't seemed very real, sort of
solid.
Like real in the body, very heavy real. Whereas it can sort of feel more sort of
softer.
Well, it's an empty energetic sort of. You nearly it's an energy arising as that. Sometimes it's not as sort of.
It's not as dense.
Not as dense, or a real thing.
Yes. Well, yes.
Yeah, in that way. Seems to thin out a bit or something.
Sure.
Sorry, I'm sure.
No, I was going to say it's interesting what Imran said about the doubt, because it seems that actually the doubt isn't the problem. Again, like what I said earlier with the addiction, it's the doubt's actually right in that way. It's the resolution, the attempt to resolve the doubt that caused. They actually used to call OCD the doubting disease.
Right.
Because it seems to like, but it just makes me think the doubt isn't the issue, it's the attempt to fix the doubt.
Yes. The doubt again is just you could call it the voice of the energy draining out of that mechanism. It just forms the energy of doubt by itself.
Yes,
it
it's
has
right
no power.
in that way.
Yes,
then the problem with the OCD is it's the trying to find the certainty in the doubt, and
always.
then the loop, the doubt, the certainty.
Sure. Yeah,
it's interesting.
When you say doubt, what do you mean by that? Doubt about the me?
Well, when I was saying it, I meant, I'll give you examples. I'm completely convinced that I'm Imran and I live in this body and I have this life and this whatever. So that would be a conviction that I am Imran.